1. All right. Hello there, lords and ladies of the internet. Welcome back to the Council of Candor, episode 48. We're talking about Revenge of the Sith, one of the most controversial Star Wars movies out there. How y'all doing today?
Come on, bro.
I'm A-okay. Just released another chapter of my novel today. The newest one, the newest Melvin novel. Go and check it out. It's probably in the thing. Yeah.
Description. What
It's in Wild Road.
now? Because I've read up to chapter 12.
I believe 22. The first novel only has 27 chapters in it. So,
Just one?
you're
Yeah.
you got time still.
Yeah, all right. I'll grab you another. Just a sec.
It'd be great. I've been enjoying it. It's a very fun comedy sci-fi book. And we have a special guest joining us tonight, Mr. Nebula the Wanderer. How you doing, Nebula?
Hello. Good.
You may know him from me and him playing Baldur's Gate all over his computer.
Yes. And we're going to be doing, I believe, Helldivers 2 tonight.
We're going to be hell diving because those dang squids have shown up and decided that they want to violate our property rights, and we're going to show them what for.
Mm-hmm.
So true.
And we also are joined by our resident Star Wars expert, Dez. How you doing, Dez?
Oh, hey, speaking
I'm
of
doing
Bald
good.
Gate, a bunch of subclasses just came out. At least
Excellent.
one. Yeah, a
It
few.
did, in fact,
Looks like.
just happen.
I was wondering why I had a big update for that game pending. Now I know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, doing good. I had to talk about this topic.
I'm excited. And then we're just going to have the same background footage from last time. I'm not going to see how much Disney wants to fight. They didn't fight me last time, so we're okay. Apparently, I don't care much about the micro series, so we'll just have that same visuals, boys.
I mean, to be fair, that was literally on YouTube for like a couple of years until they finally decided to be like, oh, we have this series that people keep on watching on YouTube for free. Maybe we should just add this to Disney Plus. And then like in, I don't know, 2019, 2020 or something like that, they did like they put all their old crap on there, which is why you can now watch Ewoks on
Ewoks?
Yes, Ewoks. We're not going to get into the weeds. There was a lot of interesting decisions George made post episode 6. Ewoks was one of them, and you can now
Courage. Yeah.
You can now watch that on Disney Plus if you so choose. We cannot
the
get
holiday specials on there yet.
It is not.
Yeah,
it is
I'm
not.
pretty sure in this contract he made sure that that's not legally allowed.
The only way you can watch that is still on YouTube because like no one else, even freaking Disney is like, we're not touching that.
I think they can't in their contract. I think that was one of the things that Lucas, when he signed the contract, is they must destroy all evidence of that movie or show, I should say.
Well, no. Well, I mean, they're doing a bad job of it because they're not taking off of YouTube where you can still, unless I'm mistaken, watch it.
By the way, I will mention, with the Helldivers game, I hope we get to the gameplay, but we may just be fucking around with guns the entire stream because they now have gun.
I'll tell you this, Nebula, you're gonna be playing immediately. You have nothing unlocked. Yeah, and remember, we're on YouTube, so YouTube doesn't like naughty language.
I see.
Yeah, but yeah, so I played it a little bit. You have nothing unlocked. You have to grind everything. It's another grinding.
I see.
I do love that grind.
I've done 6 missions so far, and I've unlocked nothing for my favorite gun. So it's going to take a while. They said this has added 500 hours of content to the game.
Damn.
And they meant it.
So, yeah.
I just saw an image of someone putting a drum mag on an ultimatum.
Oh, yeah, you can do some crazy stuff. So James says, hi, everyone, and hello, James. Revenge of the Sith is flawed. It had at least some creativity and tried to tell something different, which is more than the sequels did. I think that Revenge of the Sith's flaws are highly overrated. Like, highly overrated in what the common parlance. It is a flawed film, for sure, But when you talk to people, they think this film is like actually bad. When at worst, it's just kind of mid with some when you balance it out with the flaws. I suppose I think that's where we should start with this discussion. Let's go around the round table. Let's go in reverse order. So we'll start with Pag, then we'll go to Nebula, then Des, then me. Who wants to tell us roughly what you think of this film out of 10 and why you got to that rating? So, Pag, go ahead and hit us first.
I would say that this is like a 6 or a 7. Like honestly, this movie is really not bad. The CGI. I mean, I don't know. So I watched it on Prime. And also I feel like there were some added scenes on the Prime version. I don't know. But unless they updated the CGI, like if that was what the CGI looked like when the movie came out, like holy crap, that CGI holds up. I mean, it straight up holds up. Yeah, like
CGI.
Yeah, it's insane. This movie came out in 2005, and I'm looking at a lot of this stuff, and I'm like, a lot of this could have come out today. I mean, there was some stuff here and there that was like, meh.
A lot of stuff looks worse.
Yes, yeah.
I think that with all the prequels. Like, I do think
definitely
most over, like, hated aspects is the CGI. Now, there's places it doesn't look good, but, like, there's a lot of places it looks wrong.
The CGI that people actually have is the real problem is with these special editions of the original trilogy, because Lucas threw in a whole bunch of scenes in there. And that's what they actually have a problem with. That's when the CGI is kind of egregious, because it sticks out in there way more. Versus especially Revenge of the Sith, it blends seamlessly. I actually have to tell people, I even had to show my dad when we saw this in theaters. All the clones are CGI. There's not a single real clone trooper in this whole movie.
Which is crazy. That is insane how good they look. Some of them, at 20 years old CGI, in these clones look real. That is
not only that.
nuts.
There is so much unnecessary, and we'll get into this later. You know what? I'm gonna no, like the detail. We're not getting into this now because I'm gonna go on a tangent about.
Mention a few.
Let me run down.
If we're gonna get into it, there is so much random details and random vehicles to flesh out the world.
This is Pag giving us his rating and why he loves it.
Yeah, let me run down the rest of it.
You just said let's get into it. I was not going to get into it.
I'm letting Peg.
Yeah, fine. Peck, you get into it.
Let me. I just want to run down the things just real quick. Set design and costume design, great, very inspired. I mean, you could say that about every movie in the series. The set design and the costume design, they're all very inspired. They're made with love, very good. Music, fantastic, great music. The things I didn't like, the dialogue is wildly shifts. So like you get I mean you get the whole like I love you and that's why you're beautiful, and she's like, no, you love me and that's why you're beautiful. And that was very bad.
Slam your head into the wall right there.
Yeah, the blocking in that scene was also very bad. Stiffly just kind of looking at each other. Very weird. Very weird. Fight scenes, they go from great to terrible, sometimes within the same fight. The Anakin Obi-Wan fight, some of that fight is fantastic. Other parts of the fight, it's like, why are you standing waving your lightsabers at each other? What is going on? And the plot has some weird holes here and there, like Anakin and Padme making out on the floor of obviously one of the most surveilled places in all the galaxy. Like, excuse me, you're just making out right there, really? But I think that the strengths definitely outweigh the weaknesses for sure. And as Des was saying, some of the like details that go into the ships. That was one of the when I was watching. That's one of the things that I highlighted. That the ship design is fantastic, extremely inspired.
You have no idea. You have no idea.
You're gonna kill me? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, kill me. Go.
It's not Des's turn. It's Nebula's turn.
Okay. It's still not my turn. Like, don't say that.
All right. So, I mainly remember this. I've mentioned this before, but not here on stream. I mainly remember this from the freaking Lego Star Wars video game. So, I don't remember much from that even, but I do remember there being some very odd, like, I agree with Pag on this, or whatever. It's very odd in terms of what's said in the movie, and it just like doesn't mesh well.
Well, if you remember the Lego one, they don't say anything, so that
Yeah,
might be.
well, I've watched both, but from what I remember from the one from the movie, there's just a lot of odd stuff, and honestly, kind of nonsense stuff as well. The scene that I remember most was like them yelling while fighting over lava.
There was that was
I
that was a
think
big part of the movie.
Yeah, so the Mustafar fight has some of the best dialogue in the whole thing, but also has some of the cheesiest dialogue in the whole thing.
I hate you.
I think the speech that they give before the fight, where Obi-Wan is like, hey, we pledge ourselves to the Republic, to democracy. Like, there's so much emotion and just power, and in what they're saying. It resonates well. But back to there's the "I hate you." That's not what a Republic. And I also think a good
thoughts.
Go ahead.
I was going to mention the you turned her against me.
Mm-hmm.
I forget, was anything even said by Padme in that scene, or was it just she walked out and his immediate response?
She talks to him.
She talks to him, but then she also Anakin sees Obi-Wan walk out of her ship. It's not the most unreasonable.
And Obi-Wan,
Obi-Wan,
he stretched up the stance of, I just got done piping her, Anakin. What are you going to do about it?
and she's also like, yeah, Obi-Wan told me that you're in the dark side now, which isn't untrue.
That did not help.
No, it really did not.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that she was asking to be choked, but
Yeah.
Defense, I will agree that.
Yeah. Oh, I will also say,
I
do agree with Anakin that it's bullshit that he wasn't made a knight or whatever.
Oh,
master.
The politics of that. We're gonna get into that when we get into the film. I actually love that aspect because just the way that we'll get into it in a second. I'm sorry, it's just so much fun. There's so much. This film has so much meat on the bone.
I disagree, but I disagree with your point, Nebula. But it kind of ties in more to the micro. It ties into his attitude and the micro series. But
we'll talk about it when we get to that. But I think it's a great story.
Look, I know. Look, we'll get there when we get. The scene's great regardless. It's a fantastic scene, especially if we get extra into detail and start talking about the book. Which I don't know if that's a good idea.
We'll mention a little bit. Is there anything else you want to bring up, Nebula?
No, not really that I can think of.
All right, Des, go ahead and hit them with your initial thoughts and review and some highlights, and then we'll move into me, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty of the film.
Okay. I love this film. I love this film so much. This might be my favorite film ever. It's not the best.
This might be your favorite film ever?
Yes. I absolutely adore this film. And every, the good, bad, and the ugly. It's I adore this film. I really do. And it's part of why I fell in love with Star Wars. There is a ton of very small details. There is a ton of very small vehicles for the Republic that helps flesh out their army that we see for 5 seconds. God knows how many hours the animators worked on it, and we get 5 seconds of that thing. It's beautiful. Not only that, getting into it, I just think the fights are some of the best in the series. Anakin versus Obi-Wan, I think, is fantastic. The opening is great with the battle over Coruscant and just running around in Grievous's ship, the Invisible Hand, and all that. So, I guess that's quick thoughts. I guess on a more objective level, putting away my feelings, probably I don't know, 7 or 8, maybe a bit lower.
That's fair.
Say something about chat, James. We all have several thoughts on Anakin taking the mind.
Unaliving.
Yeah, unaliving. We'll get into that when we get to that, though. That's a big discussion point because I don't think any of us will disagree that him doing it isn't the problem. It's the way it's presented.
No, I think him doing it's the problem.
No.
Pack. Once we, I think you'll be convinced when we talk about it. Also, and then you got Godzilla over Star Wars. Well, if you like Godzilla, there's a YouTuber you can check out named Blackaroonie. You can go
Subscribe to Black
subscribe to
Rooney.
his channel. Yeah, tell him that you love him deeply, and on a physical
Homosexual level.
Censor by the tube. Yeah, we are on it, and it's very not kosher. Let's just say that Hamas would be upset. So,
Yep.
My thoughts on this. I think this is the second best or the best Star Wars film by far. I have to re-see Rogue One before I, put it in maybe higher or lower than it.
Better than Rogue One.
I believe it because I think most of Rogue One's terrible until like the last half. I think if Rogue One was the first half was as good as the last half, it might beat this. But like the last half of Rogue One is really, really good.
It's really good, but the first half is very unfocused and clearly was made by different people because it probably was.
And then
I just love the stones it takes to kill your entire cast at the end of a film. Spoilers,
great.
Don't care.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that they were willing to do that.
That was not a problem I had at all. Again, I think the last half of Rogue One is great. We'll do Rogue One in a few weeks on this, guys. Don't worry.
I'm done with it.
I think we'll do that now that Andor's done. We'll do 2 weeks back to back. We'll do Andor then Rogue One.
Sounds good to me.
But that's
Andor's
down
awesome.
the line.
Rarely season 1. I've seen season 2.
We should do Rogue One and then Andor because I need a long time to watch Andor. It's 24 hours of television, and I don't have
season 1 1 week, season 2 the next week, and then follow with Rogue One.
Okay, I can probably live with that.
But that's way down the line. Don't worry. Anyway, so my thoughts on this. I think that this is probably an 8 out of 10 easily. I think that like I said, the highs of this thing bring it way higher than the flaws bring it down. I think the film is incredibly overhated. It's very unfortunate.
I don't know
because if you talk to people, they really overhate this film.
No, overhated. I would say for sure, overhated.
Yeah.
What I don't know about is an 8 out of 10.
I can easily be brought down to a 7. I could, once I assume I'm going to probably get there with the discussion. I don't know. Seeing this film again in theaters just made me, feel so like, this is how Star Wars used to be. It just used to, be so much more enjoyable than the slop we got now. I could probably go back down to a 7 because that's where I usually stick this film at. I usually put it in the same category as 1999's The Mummy, where it's a fantastic movie. It's one of my favorites of all time, but I recognize its flaws. And I know that its flaws have a big bearing on it. No such thing as overhating. No. We'll get to you one day.
Honestly, Chad.
I can't imagine why NNN of all people would say that.
He's just right. I don't know what you want. Like, he's just right. You cannot overhate. It's not possible.
We'll
get into some of the details of this film. Like we said, the opening is phenomenal. James, I think it still actually is in theaters, if I recall.
I don't know. It might be. I think it might vary by area. I'm not sure. I don't know what's going on with that.
Has the re-release been in theaters longer than than Snow White managed to stay in?
Money than it, and like immediately, so like that wouldn't be a surprise. I gotta make money.
No, it wouldn't be a surprise, but still would be very funny.
Way, I do want to point out, it domestically in its re-release made 55 mil. I think that's what the last tally was that I saw. The budget for this was only 113 million. Think about that for a second. This thing almost made its budget back on a re-release.
But I wonder how much they spent on advertising for this. Like advertising for the re-release, you know what I'm saying?
Almost nothing.
And almost nothing? I don't think I saw any ads for this thing.
If they spent $2 million, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I think it was mostly like fan word of mouth because I didn't see anything anywhere. But then again, I don't like watch television. So
my dad watches television. He didn't even know this was coming out. And he watches Disney-owned television, like ESPN and stuff, which they advertise the absolute crap out of everything. If you want to really understand how annoying Disney is, go watch ESPN, which is for sports and for guys who drink beer. It was inundated with Snow White ads the whole time.
That's funny.
Dad was so angry. He's like, I'm so glad this film's out. I hate it. Just because all the ads they hit. So it did a total of 55 million for what I'm seeing online. which means that it made half of its budget when it was created back in a re-release, which is fantastic.
And re-released 25 years later. That is
20
like legit
20,
wild.
It made like a quarter as much as Snow White did. And remember, this is just something they had in their pocket.
Yeah, and I mean, Snow White's like budget was absurd and also highly underreported.
Yeah.
Because of it had how many rounds of reshoots? 3?
At least 3 we know about.
Yeah, and they do not they don't like say how much they spend on reshoots, so.
But yeah, so I think Revenge of the Sith is now in the top 50 earning movies of all time with its re-release, which is just great.
Nice.
Highly deserved. It's more than most Marvel movies now, which again highly deserved. The here we start with release Birkin, heck yeah, and Gary Nerdrotic will advertise it for them. No, actually, they didn't advertise this like at all until after it was already out. And they're like, "Oh yeah, it was great, guys. You should go re-see it." None of those people advertised this. The only reason I knew about it was because I knew the Revenge of the Sith was coming up, and I wanted to talk about it. And I was Googling trying to find some some of the deleted scenes for this eventual stream, and I saw that the re-release was happening.
Yeah, like all the re-releases have been kind of on the DL. Like I haven't seen too much. Like even when it was what's it called? When Return of the Jedi happened, what, like a year or two ago? I think it was 2 years ago. Like I barely heard anything about it, and apparently, today I looked it up because I was curious if any of the other prequels got re-released. Apparently, Episode 1 got re-released and had some stuff from like the Acolyte because that was coming out around the same time. It sounded like so.
Yeah, they
Like
put
I didn't.
Acolyte stuff in front of it. I remember that. That was annoying.
Yeah, which sucks for those people who actually went to see it. But like I didn't even know they re-released that.
Yeah, they've done the 20th anniversary for all these films.
Well, it was the 25th for Episode 1, but yeah.
Yeah. But no, man, I am just. This film was, it's just seeing everybody come back to this a cultural moment and just rewatch this film. You got to think that people at Disney are like scrambling right now.
Yeah, I
Look,
mean they're
I
probably
haven't
thinking to
seen a
themselves like,
scramble.
how come we can't do this anymore?
Yeah, it's a shame. Well, part of it is because like they had time to actually work on the CGI versus like the freaking like.
CGI, it's the enthusiasm. I think is something that they're frustrated with. The freaking
Oh
popcorn
well,
bucket and posters sold out within 6 hours. Like,
yeah, no, you were pissed.
I'm
Pissed.
angry. I'm so angry I didn't get a popcorn bucket. I'm more angry I didn't get a poster. Like, the poster's the thumbnail. It's one of the coolest images I've ever seen for this movie.
Is so.
It does go hard.
So hard. I'm gonna go get. I have a guy who makes posters in town. I'm gonna go to him and just have him print this illegally for me because I can't pay for it in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like again, this is one of the things I find funny. It's like Disney. I want to give you money for once. Let me give you money.
What are you
stupid
doing? The one
people.
time.
You absolute idiots.
Yeah. Great.
So yeah.
No,
And
no giving money for you.
Exactly. It's like I tried to order from Little Caesars in town today because they got that brand new Mountain Dew I wanted to try, and my stupid Little Caesars like, oh, well, you have to order online in order to be able to get the Mountain Dew. Okay, fine.
Why?
Let me go to the online app. Oh, well, we removed the lunch special from the online app. It's like, oh, why did you do that? Because, they just wanted to. And I checked like another Little Caesars nearby to verify, and it's like, no. It's just your Little Caesars because it's a franchise, and I hate them. It's ran by like an Indian couple who've been here who like every time I go in there I get frustrated trying to deal with them. I'm like, will you just let me get my freaking pizza? I look around, we got like 4 of every other type of restaurant. They're opening like a second Chipotle. I'm like, Chipotle sucks. Why am I getting another one of these things? And it's like we have one Little Caesars and it's the worst in the entire county. It's so annoying. James, you don't want Star Wars darker. I'll tell you that right now. Andor is great we're going to assume it's good for this argument. Andor is great what it is, but you don't want all that to be all Star Wars. You want that quality of writing to be there, but Star Wars being dark is really annoying.
Yeah, I mean, some of the charm of Star Wars comes from the fact that it's kind of like fairy tale-esque,
Yeah.
I think it's good to have those stories in the universe, but like kind of kills the vibe if like It
Everything's
Yeah.
changes the
super dark.
vibe of the universe if
Yeah,
everything.
you'd lose the charm if it was dark.
Like
Or
it'd
maybe
be
not
like
lose
Lord
the
of the
charm.
Rings. Like you, Lord of the Rings, and then you're like, by the way, we're just adding what's the fat guy who's complaining about taxes?
George R.R. Martin.
Yeah, you add like one of Martin's books as like a side story, and you meld it into the universe perfectly, and it'd be like, well, I guess that's nice, but then like you wouldn't want that to be the entire series. It screws with
Yeah,
like
that's
everything, like it screws with the vibe of like
yeah.
Lord of the
It's not
Rings.
what Lord of the Rings is. You know,
Yeah,
like
it's like this
thematically,
is
Star
neat.
Wars
This is
shouldn't be as
yeah,
dark.
yeah.
Really. And again, you know what? I have a discussion on adult themes in 2 weeks, but I think it's a good time to talk about it now. Actually, Nebula,
Yeah, might as well,
you're
right?
coming through weird a little bit, buddy.
Yeah.
That mute Nebula so he doesn't come through the stream. Let me know when he fixes his mic issue.
Okay.
But yeah. So
Dude, variety is not the issue with Disney. Like they've just been extremely stupid, to put it very lightly.
well, not just that,
Yeah.
but besides them being stupid with the way they run things, I do think that there's a good thing to look at for Andor. That's a problem. The only reason anybody knows about it outside of like this tight little bubble is because they had the struggle snuggle in the scene.
No, I disagree. I think the first one got enough popularity. I mean, like
It
that's why.
absolutely did not. It
I don't know.
absolutely did
I
not.
heard
dude.
from a bunch of my coworkers and a few of my minions at work that is good. Is really good.
I was gonna say,
like
I think the
before even the
first,
second season.
the first one
The
got
first
like,
season got a lot of love, but I'm
whoa,
telling you
I was
right
gonna
now,
say,
I don't think it translated very well to the second season's success. Nobody was talking about it till the struggle snuggle scene.
I'm pretty sure like the struggle snuggle basically took over the conversation. I think it would have been popular,
I
but
think that
of course the struggle snuggle then like introduced a whole new topic of conversation that made it, amplified the conversation like a
It
billion times.
Yeah, it like sucked all the air out of the room.
I'll
Everyone's
Yeah.
suddenly talking about that. I didn't hear anything about it on the internet until I heard about the struggle snow. Let me say
Yeah.
that. I heard
Yeah,
about it in
that's
real
fair.
life from people who like it, from nerds that I know. I didn't hear about it on the internet until people were like, "Hey, did you know about this?" And I was like, "Oh, I kind of
Yeah.
wish I didn't."
Yeah, like I feel like it kind of, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, would have been as popular, who knows, but like the fact that happened, like it was naturally gonna
I also think
like
that this is just a little bit of a
there.
spoiler because I know how it goes. The first 3 episodes kind of suck of season 2.
Oh, that's
So the fact that like there's not a whole lot to talk about except the struggle snuggle, I think also reinforced itself. And I think that's why
Yeah, that
Andor
probably
is
worked against it
failing
then.
so like it failed in ratings. I think Andor is technically a failed series by metrics as of now. It's got a hope to make itself back up in the long run because it's been about 2 movies worth of expense, and there's no way it's generated 2 movies worth of like profit for Star Wars. No way. Even Solo would level up profits.
I don't know how. Honestly,
Nope.
I don't know how they even like measure streaming shows like profitability.
It's subscribers. It's how many people sign up to subscriptions or renew their subscriptions in the time
But
period
how do
the
they? I see. Do they just divide that between all new shows that are going on?
It's when you sign up, a lot of times they'll ask you why did you sign up,
Okay, that makes sense then.
and when you leave, here's the thing: if you do sign up for a free trial, which I'm not saying you should, but if you do, when you cancel your free trial, if you put in there, which a lot of other people have said, you should do, I only wanted to watch, blank show. That shows
Mhm.
really well on that show, even if Disney sees a profit loss.
Interesting.
Interesting.
That's why they try to stretch shows releases out, like Game of Thrones. They try to stretch it out over each thing. And
Yeah, they want it to be more than a month, right?
Yep.
You got to pay us at least $1 due.
And they try to do that with a lot of these shows, but it just doesn't quite work out. That's also why they release them in the middle of the month, because they bill you at the first of the month.
Yep.
Because they're evil.
Yeah,
They've got lawyers and psychologists on their side. And then we'll do the adult theme discussion with you. I know you love it, buddy. Don't worry. So let's go to some stuff about Star Wars real quick. Des, would you like to lead us in discussion of the opening?
Dude, I love this opening. It's like it's one. It's a great opening. Like just the fact that it opens, you just see the Venator Star Destroyer in all of its glory. I love the Venator. Looks great. Not only that, but of course it also shows a lot of the progression from the much smaller acclimators at the beginning of the war in episode 2 to the much larger and bulkier and much closer to the Star Destroyers, Venators. They're noticeably much bigger. And then you just, you see in the background, you see Coruscant establishes very quickly, okay, we're here. There's a giant battleship. What are we doing? And then you see
They're having a Star
Anakin,
War.
Obi-Wan. Yeah, they're just, flying around, doing some cool tricks, and then they, duck over the side of the Venator, and you see the entire thing. You see the entire sprawl of all the ships in all of their glory. And unlike in the micro series, which does a similar thing where, you see the stars and it zooms in and you see those stars are actually Venators and not Munificence, Province class ships. In this, you actually see a wide variety of ships. Not really for the Republic. For the Republic, it's basically only Venators. But for the CIS, you see a wide variety of ships from the Recusicant class to a lot of Munificence. You see a lot of what's the donut shaped one? Lucreholics. See a lot of Lucreholics. See a lot of provinces. So just showing a lot of the variety of space combat with the different ships that they have, which Star Wars does not do very well, like in the movies. I say movies and TV shows. In the movies, TV shows, 80 to 90% of the time, there's like, we have one ship. And that will apply both to the small fighter craft as well as the more
The larger capital ships.
Yeah, capital ships. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as much as I love the opening, this does show in the opening as well, where you don't see any. There's only Arc 170s. There's no V-wings. There's no V-wings. There's no. I'm trying to think what other ships would have been. I mean, bare minimum, there's no V-wings as well. And the CIS again gets more love because you have the Vulture droids who are they're still being used by the CIS from episode 1, but then you also get the new ship, the Tri-Droid, which very cool design, even if it's only shown off for like 5 seconds. There's going to be a theme throughout.
Yeah, there's a lot of this ship being shown for exactly like 2 minutes, and that's it.
Yeah, there is a lot of that, a lot of that, and it is not just in the ships. It includes mounts, it includes vehicles. There's a lot of it.
So, like, to be fair, right? To be fair to them, I mean, they only have a limited runtime on the movie. Like, you can only do so much.
Right.
If you want to show off your ship design, you gotta bang it out.
You don't understand. This is not criticism. This is
okay.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I like that as well. I really love that.
I wish there were the criticism is I wish there was more variety with the Republic ships on we don't see any acclimators. From like episode 2, we only see Venators, and I love the Venator. I love it to death. It's a very ship. I love the design.
Yeah,
but we only see Venators, and it's like there's no other ship that they're using, and it's the same thing with the ship that they use for battles. There's only Arc 170s. There is like the Jedi have the Jedi ship, and then everyone else has the Arc 170. There is no V-wings, which we see later in the movie. So it's like you have these ships, and and later in the movie, all of the Arc 170s are replaced with V-wings, and it's like you have these ships. This is like 3 days later. Like I know you have these ships. Like throw in some V-wings.
Yeah, I know you have them.
Yeah, I know you have them. So that just but to go back to the opening, just a very you see them flying, they're navigating. There's all this really.
By the way, there are V-wings in the background. I just wanted to.
Is there really?
I just wanted to, hit you,
in the
smack
opening.
you the balls a little bit, and insult you. By the way, I'm back.
Okay. I didn't know there was V-wings in that.
Just a couple in the background.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, like you see them, of course, then they go through, and they just shows like the grand scale of what's happening. See, all these big explosions. Later, we'll get some nice interior shots to show like what the actual cannons look like. Harking back a bit to episode 4, if I recall correctly, where we get like 3 shots of what the inside of the Death Star looks like, and really show the giant artillery style cannons that all of these ships have.
Mhm.
Very much harking back to like World War I, World War II, like these giant cannons that need to be reloaded in these very antiquated ways that have giant, shell casings for their,
the massive
cannon,
rounds.
which I love. I do I adore it. It's awesome.
Yeah. So I have
And the sound design for it.
one of my hugest problems with Star Wars as a setting is their space combat. But I give it a pass because it's clearly going for something. Like the artistic vision is not like, rigorousness in like tactics or anything like that. It's clearly like, oh man, look at this. We're harkening back to like World War II battleships and whatnot. And isn't that super cool? And yes, George Lucas, yes, it is very cool.
Sorry, just ship combat peaked in World War II.
Okay.
They really did. In cool factor, like all ship combat, air combat peaked in World War II in cool factor. I'm sorry.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, sure. I actually agree with that.
I don't know
It's
if I
all so
agree.
long range now, and
Yeah,
drones
nowadays
and
everyone's
everything.
shooting at things from 100 kilometers
Kid,
away.
I agree. It's like ship combat now is lame and gay, and everyone's flying from 50 miles away.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree, because World War I also had like the big ships and stuff like that. So I don't know if I agree.
I said it peaked in World War II, which means that
I don't know. I don't know if I agree for ship combat. For air combat, absolutely, because in World War I, it's like,
it absolutely peaked in World War II.
okay.
Go look at the Pacific Theater. There's not a single fight in all of World War I that's as cool as any single fight in World War II. Just the Battle of Midway alone, which is the midpoint of the whole campaign, is more epic, more climactic, and cooler than anything that has to do with World War I. It's cooler than World War II is the hunting of the Bismarck, Des. Come on.
Huh?
Come on, man. You know it's the best.
Okay. Shut up! It peaked in Vietnam.
It did, yeah. What was it? Gulf of Tonkin, best ship combat ever. But no, like aerial dogfights and all that. Like Pag said, I get what Lucas is going for, and I think it's the coolest way you could possibly do it.
Yeah.
Horses and gas masks.
It's super rule of cool,
it's really cool.
and they hit it. They hit those rule of cool notes. It bothers me coming from like a military science fiction perspective of seeing this and seeing some of the things that they have in setting and being like, why are they doing some of these things? Like, why is a lot of this happening? Why are these guys within spitting distance of each other when they're doing this? But whatever. And
again, the worst part is, Luke, it can be easily explained. Just imagine if they explained, yeah, it's not a vacuum in space. There's a very thin layer of gas that only dissipates lasers after 2 miles. That suddenly fixes all the problems of space combat in Star Wars.
It really does. It really does fix not everything, but a lot.
All the laser problems.
Yeah.
Again, but it's one of those things where it's. I get why Lucas never did it. I don't know why the EU never explained it, and I also
the EU acts that, but it also kind of has to do with the space lanes, where every space lane seems to put everything all the defenses and stuff are designed to basically whoever comes out of the space lane will immediately get their balls slapped.
Mm-hmm.
So then everything is within 2 miles.
Yeah, sure, but you could move them 6 miles away and have even more defenses all firing at once, though, is what me and Pag were saying.
No, I understand. I'm just saying,
again,
the EU absolutely acts like it. But
there's several fixes for this. Ironically, if we look at another movie, which we are going to talk about a few weeks from now, Treasure Planet, they fixed that problem because they started with, hey guys, we want to have wooden ships in outer space. How do we do this? So they
they built the whole universe around it.
Exactly, which is, air has to exist in outer space. How all the air is breathable doesn't matter.
Don't worry about
it's all breathable. What is that going to do to everything else? Shut up. We don't need to get the sides of how it happened. It happened. Now that's happened, and we establish it's happened. It makes all the tactics and stuff we want to use better. There are so
Yeah.
many little fixes. Again, this doesn't have to be like stated in the movie. I don't mind this being in secondary source material because that's like, again, for dweebs and nerds. But like even Disney, which again the whole point of them killing the EU was to fix it. You think that's number one would be something they try to explain because it's not hard to say, give a bunch of nerds some money and say, "All right, dweebs, figure out how I can make Star Wars combat work."
Yeah. Yeah, make this make sense for me.
Here's a pile of money and some cocaine. You got 24 hours. Let's go.
Yeah, figure it out, buddies.
Because again, people are such nerds, especially for Star Wars, that they are naming like asteroids and spacecraft after like robots from the movies. They would love the chance to be like, "Hey guys, we want you to make this work."
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about a group of people who would just lose their stuff at the opportunity? It's nerds. They love coming up with this. So look at this podcast discussion so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're not even technical experts. We're already excited to come up with answers for this.
Yeah.
So, also, by the way, this is another thing I want to backdoor. This is why you don't need to world build everything in your story. Just write your dang story already. You can figure out a lot of the world build details. Figure out later. You don't need to have them all organized. Just start writing. So I'm calling all of you out. All of you in chat. You know who I'm calling out specifically. Legacy especially.
Any of you
Cruz,
who
I know
haven't
you're
finished
watching
your novel
Cruz.
yet?
I'm not naming any names. Legacy.
Yeah, except for
not
Legacy.
naming any Legacy, Cruise.
Yeah.
Looks like
Yeah, well, those two. Well, Legacy's better than the show, so I can name him. In Cruz, I like Cruz, but please, man, write something. I love your world, but write something. I also think they watch the show because they don't love me enough. So
Yeah,
I think
make fun of
Legacy
them.
watches.
I think Legacy does. I like Legacy. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Legacy. If you want to see what we're talking about with Legacy Chat, go watch episode 20, where he shows off the Awesome Alliance project. It's a really ambitious project, and I hope he does well with it. It'd be fantastic if he gets it off the ground. Also, to Legacy's credit, he is writing stories. So, yeah, Legacy gets a pass again. Legacy's good people. He's also friends with Literature Devil, which is neat.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Literature Devil seems like a cool guy. I'd love to hang out with talk to him one day, too.
Yeah. Anyways, back to episode 3.
Yes.
Do we want to keep on going through the opening, or because we could go on a while about this opening?
So I think that the opening, I don't know how much you guys covered, but I wanted to talk about from my perspective.
We basically got to I didn't even get to the point where we talked about what's it called, where the vulture droids actually come out and fight them. We
know how that goes. It's a fun.
Yeah.
So we're gonna sum up the opening with this. It is a perfect encapsulation of how you should open a movie. It's action-packed. It's got a really interesting water shot that's phenomenally tracked. As you're tracking along what's going on, in the background you get to see all the battle, you see how it's going, while also seeing our characters doing impressive maneuvers. Then as the fight goes on, you're listening to the commands, and you're understanding Obi-Wan's in control, but this is really Anakin's field. And they're bantering back and forth, so you get their friendship immediately. R2 even has a fight scene, so you understand R2's competence, which comes up a lot for some reason in this movie in the beginning. R2 is super important, and he just stops being important later.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
it also
I do love that. You see Anakin being reverse the fluctuator capacitor thing, and then he just does it spin basically and destroys the missiles. Where Obi-Wan immediately is like, "No, not too much spinning. I hate this." It's the perfect
it's a perfect amount of characterization. It tells you each character's how they are. Obi-Wan is a bit more by the book, a bit more stuffy, but he's still here that he's still like a guy you want to hang out with. Anakin, though, risk taker, just psychopath, goes all into everything. And
well, not only that, it just shows he's more willing to jump in. He's much more where Obi-Wan's cautious. He hates the spinning. He doesn't have the skill or maneuverability with the fighter that Anakin does to actually, stop it where he does get the buzz droids on him. And not only that, with the opening too, before that, before they break off with the missiles, when I think I can't remember the clone's name, but the clone where they break off from the clones. You know, the clone has what's it called? Tri-droid on his back, and then Anakin's like, "Oh, I'll go help him," and Obi-Wan's like, "No, you can't do that." You know, showing
Yeah, let that guy die.
yeah,
Yeah.
let that guy die, exactly. You know, and Anakin, of course, is not the most happy about that. And it's an interesting contrast with Anakin's compassion and Obi-Wan.
Hmm.
Like, this is like war. Like, come on, like this is not the time. Like, you have more important stuff to do. Like, you can't be doing this.
Hmm.
And then you
Yeah,
see
I think
him.
it's kind of funny how the entire movie they really do show like there's the whole conflict of, the Jedi are like, "Oh, don't be too compassionate. It will lead you to being evil." And, in a lot of films and a lot of media, you'd be like, "Hey, excuse me, what?" But they really do the work to show you exactly how, like, yes, Anakin is too compassionate, and yes, it leads him to being a crazy person, which is also why he shouldn't have killed them kids. Anyway,
We'll get there when we get there. First of all, second of
Yeah.
all,
Discussion.
it will be.
second of all, what was the other thing I was gonna say? Shoot.
While you
Oh no,
decide,
yeah.
I want to
Another
say something to James.
no.
James,
There's-
read it.
uh-huh.
Don't watch it.
Okay.
That's all I'm gonna say.
There's another really cool detail with that makes basically no sense. Where the tri-droid, then you do see him get shot in the tri-droid, see him die, and then from there you see they for whatever reason were like, let me animate this CGI clone floating in space after the ship blows up. I do love that as well. That was
Yeah, I mean, it kind of does a little bit of showing you a bit of the human tragedy. Like, you've got these big set pieces exploding, and you don't really consume the fact that, oh yeah, there's like people dying.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands of dudes are just dying instantly all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah, and showing the floating bodies in space really does a number to humanize it.
Yeah, and also something I think that is important is it also shows immediately the difference in perspective that the Jedi and Anakin have, as we hinted at it earlier. And I think this is going to play into detail way more later, because Anakin doesn't accept it. He looks frustrated that he has to accept it. I think it's the best part of the opening scene. He's angry that he has to do it.
Yeah,
Because he's like
exactly.
Obi-Wan. In his mind he knows Obi-Wan's right, but he also disagrees.
Yeah.
Setting up stuff for later. So then they bust onto the ship. Let's just say, because we can cut. We've all seen the opening scene at this point. If you haven't, it's worth watching on YouTube. Go watch the movie.
The only thing I'd say is kind of silly, but also helps explain like, why don't they just all go board the ship? Basically, is that it seems to be. I don't know, understand, like, based on the movie, I don't understand how they think that, like, the ships are supposed to get in and out of the hangar, because of course they blow up the thing and then the doors shut in. But then,
shields.
huh?
It's one-way shields. They mentioned that in episode 1.
Oh,
yeah,
is it
but
one?
can the ships not land back on their own hangar?
Yeah, that's the thing. Can they not land in the hangar again?
They have to go on the other side, if I recall.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, and the reason
It's
they don't
well
go through the other
explained,
side
but
is
I'm willing to hand wave that.
Yeah.
I don't need that explained in severe, minute detail.
And if I
I'm
recall,
willing to
in one of the books, they
accept
even
that.
say that the frequency that your shield refreshes at, like that whatever the hertz it is, that's what these shields are generated at as well. So, like, as you hit it with your ships, your shield melds with that shield and you pass through. But if your shield isn't set to that frequency, you just bounce off of it like a meteor.
All right, but that's kind of a huge problem, because then you just have munitions with that shield generator frequency on them, and you would just be able to penetrate enemy shields. That would make shields.
Well, to be fair for the Munificent, it's less of an issue for the CIS, because the Vulture droids inherently usually seem to hang out on, like, the outside.
On the surface, yeah.
Yeah, on the surface of the ship.
Well, there's a
like,
reason that that's
with
an
the
expanded
Republic, you
universe,
can't
though.
really do that, but, like, in terms of, like, which faction does this impact the least, it does impact the CIS.
They specifically have a bit of an advantage.
Yeah.
Also said that
Like,
was in an
hangar
EU
space
book. I don't
is the
remember
most.
which one it is, so I don't know how canon
Like,
it was.
they have the biggest luxury, or like the most Their hangar space is going to be the most empty of like.
Yeah, not
any
needing
class.
oxygen is like massive W in space combat. Like, let's just have a dry hangar. Let's just have our entire ships be empty all the time so explosions don't propagate with inside. Unfortunately, they don't actually do that. They just have oxygen inside of all of their ships.
Well,
for some
and to
reason.
be
But
fair,
whatever.
they do have
People in the ship,
usually.
though.
They do have, yeah. They're
Yeah, I guess they
always
have some
commanded
meat
by
people here and there.
They're
Yeah,
they're
that's why.
always
That's actually
commanded
why
by
Lucas made sure they had meat people in the ships.
people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, just to see if you want to prove Pag right, go play any game of FTL.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, not having to have air on your ship, huge bonus.
That is correct. That
FTL is
is
a fun
actually
little
correct.
game that I hate.
I
It's
love
a cool
FTL.
little game that I played a few times, and then maybe I'll play it again sometime. I don't know.
I have like
FTL is
300 hours in it.
Yeah, I like FTL, but I also hate it because like if you play it too much, every event like becomes the same because there's not enough events. But also like
Yeah.
Definitely.
we'll
But
get
I'm
that
curious,
sometime.
how many hours did I put into FTL? Because probably put in like 20, maybe
All the
10.
achievements in it as well.
Never mind, I
So
just put in 10. Anyways.
Yeah. But anyway, so back to the ship. So they shoot and they get onto the enemy ship. While they're in there, we get a whole bunch of banter and see, again, it's establishing these characters' relationships, establishing, I think we could pretty much just, unless there's any highlights you want to hit, cut from they get in the ship to Dooku. Because it's just fun banter, establishing character moments and things like that. There's nothing really important that happens plot-wise. Is there, guys?
There's nothing
No, not
important.
really.
It's just like, oh, fun banter, fight some droids, introduce Grievous, but like Grievous doesn't actually do anything with that. He's like, oh, Dooku, there's a trap. It's like they're walking into the trap. Like it's mainly banter, and like they know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it's a great stuff and it's worth watching, but there's nothing that like plot relevant or like super intriguing or interesting that we want to hit on at this point. Outside of it's just establishing their characters really well, establishing like what they can and can't do with the ship and how the ship works. Rough, a little bit for stuff for later on.
Yeah, it's just kind of some neat action stuff. Worth watching.
Yeah.
Good,
We
good,
also
good,
get
neat
our
action
first
stuff.
deleted scene here, I believe, where they cut out
is it?
more of the action stuff before we get to.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. There's several hallways with the droids they stumble across and are cut out and things like that. This opening scene was about 5 minutes longer.
Nice.
You want to talk about the next scene, Peg, and introduce us to what we see Dooku, what's happening here?
Yeah, so the next scene, from what I recall, they and I kind of like how this is set up, pacing wise. So they get into I guess the observation chamber, not the bridge. For some reason there's an observation deck on these ships that's on a big old periscope. They get in there, and the Emperor is sitting there, all pretty, waiting for them, just kind of smiling and being like, "Hello, boys." He doesn't actually say
True.
that.
That's not true. He's watching the battle play out, and then he turns around somehow.
It's kind of funny that he has control over that seat, isn't it? Kind of funny, and also kind of funny how he's totally calm, just completely and totally calm. I think they do some interesting foreshadowing here, not in any like dialogue or anything like that, just in how the Emperor is acting this whole time. He's totally in control this whole time, despite that he is a kidnapping victim.
Was he even tied up?
Yeah,
He
he
was
was.
Arms
yeah.
are just down the
His
thing.
arms are so. I mean, he does the way he sounds Count Dooku like kind of is like enough afraid, but like I do love how later in the fight like he's like so into it. He's like yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Like he's just literally
Yeah.
like it's like watching a like must have been like watching a Coliseum fight like ancient
Mhm.
Rome. Like yeah, get him like,
Yeah, kill.
it's just like yeah.
I remember seeing like someone did a like if Dooku was smart or some bullshit like that, and it was just he immediately flips on the Emperor when the Emperor starts going, kill him. It's just like
Well,
So
he's
the
he's
book
on his
explains it-
knees and he doesn't
The
have
book
his
explains
lightsaber.
it really well because
yes,
this is going to get the
correct.
first
But what
time,
I'm
like,
saying that Dooku would do is, fuck it. He's the Emperor. He's the one manipulating this whole war.
Just immediately out him.
Well, yeah, but that's not in Dooku's character or in the
True.
Sith's character. Like they're not gonna do that. Like as much
True.
as like yeah, but like, and I guess I don't know. How much do we want to go into the book? Because like we could talk a long time about the book.
I think we just shouldn't. I think we shouldn't go into the book. I'm gonna be real. I don't think we should go into the book at all.
Talk about the book, but I think that's a bad idea as well. I do think it's a bad idea. I think we're gonna be here a long time.
I think the problem with the books, right, is that they have so much more time in the book to explain
exactly
things
right. Yeah.
that they're able to fix up and stitch up a lot of the like ragged holes that are left in the film. So in a way, the book is a better product than the film because it's able to stitch these things up. In another way, the book is a fundamentally different product than the film. And I don't know that it's worth talking. I think it's worth talking in reference, but I don't think it's worth talking like exclusively. You know what I'm saying? Like as its own thing. I think in the Grievous fight we should talk about the book because I think the Grievous fight adds a lot of things to Grievous. But I don't know.
Well, I mean, this adds a lot of things to Dooku because it actually shows what Dooku, like, what does Dooku,
thinking.
How does Dooku think this is about to go down? Like, because it explains how Dooku's like, oh yeah, the whole, like, I am going to lose. Like, that's part of the plan. Part of the plan is to lose. It's not to die, but it is to lose. Because he has this vision where basically he's going to be captured by, since Kid is, getting a drink of whiskey or something. I don't know. We're going to talk about the book now, I guess.
I'm pulling this here. There are 87.
Well, I'm asking, do we want to talk about the book? And you're like, let me not say
silent.
I was letting you guys talk. All right, there are 86 deleted scenes, by the way, that we know of.
Wow. Dang.
So, if you're ready for this, the first few scenes are from right before we even get to Palpatine. Scenes 6, 7, 8 through 14, and 25 are all different cuts that we know exist from the Revenge of the Sith making of book that were more scenes leading up to this fight scene before we even get onto the ship. Just to put it in perspective, that's how much was cut from that opening crawl still. Then when they're on the ship, there's a scene where they get kidnapped by a bunch of droids that I mentioned. During that scene was further cut because there's another scene in that scene where Anakin talks in binary to the droids, which confuses them. Then Obi-Wan talks to Anakin in their secret code language in another scene which was cut, which confuses the droids even further. Then they kill 2 Magna Guards, which we see are guarding Grievous, on the way to Palpatine, like outside of the door. They just kind of walk in and see Palpatine. They had a whole fight scene with Magna Guards outside there before they even got there.
Yeah, I'm going to be real. I don't know that basically any of that is necessary, at all.
No, I will say this: there's a couple scenes that I think are necessary, but these ones, as far as we're hitting now, are not. There's a whole bunch of R2-D2 stuff that was cut. He fights like more stuff, which again, that's fun, but like, we don't need that.
Yeah, why would they want to put that in there?
Yeah.
But anyway, so then we see Dooku. The Emperor, for some reason, has control of his chair, so he spins around and looks at them, and then Dooku walks in.
It's the same. He loves that chair. He even has it in the Empire and stuff like that.
I know it's basically the same chair from Episode 6.
Yeah, it's a good chair. Hey, it's a good chair. Man's got taste in furniture. His interior decorator on point. So he turns around, and then Dooku comes in. And he looks at them, and to be fair, he's like, "Hey guys, surrender. Like it's over for you.
Some of the
I'm
best
Dooku."
lines of the whole series are right here.
I think this dialogue is pretty good. Which is funny because later we get some really bad dialogue, but here it's good. It's good stuff.
The stuff I want to highlight here is why I tell people the dialogue of the whole movie is not bad. There's some awful stuff, but you cannot tell me this has the worst dialogue of all time. Just the fact that Anakin's now ready to fight Dooku, and my powers have doubled since the last time I fought you, Count. And he looks at him, good, twice the pride, double the fall. That's such a banger line.
It's a good line.
Down in a way that and it completely turns everything Anakin said on his head. That's great. Cause you just heard that I'm twice as powerful as you, buddy. You hear that stuff all the time from cocky teenagers and stuff when they're ready to get in a fight. And and Dooku's smirk afterwards, just phenomenal.
He's like, "I got you, you little pip."
It's even better because Dooku in his mind is thinking, "Oh, I got to screw with Anakin to make him evil." He's going out of his way to be extra antagonistic to make Anakin evil, which is why, like, when people criticize Dooku should have said something, where Dooku's sitting on the ground silent. I think that's why, because Dooku's realizing, "Oh, I screwed up. I really, misunderstood this whole thing. I was told the three of us would be in charge. He lied to me."
Yeah, I backed the wrong horse.
There is the shock, but even beyond that, I fundamentally disagree with the view of the Sith you have to have for it to work, for him to be like, "Oh, I'm spilling the beans." It has to be a fundamentally different view of the Sith than I think realistically actually, is the Sith.
Also, I think it's an important detail. Dooku, I don't think thought he had two options there. Anakin was either so far gone that it didn't matter, or Anakin was going to let him live anyway.
Yeah, he probably would have killed him anyways. But even if he had spilled the beans, that's not the Sith way. He's not gonna beg. A Sith's not gonna beg for their life. And if you're spilling the beans, you're begging for your life.
And also, Anakin probably wouldn't have believed him.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
He really, really liked the Emperor at that point. He was him and the Emperor were besties.
They're actually friends.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
which is
anyway, the fight scene is pretty good. What irritates me about the fight scene, right, is how easily Obi-Wan is. Yeah, Obi-Wan is just knocked right out.
Brat, a sack of potatoes.
Yeah, he just slaps him around like a little clown boy.
Anakin gets kicked, and then Obi-Wan gets force choked, thrown, and then he knocks the what do you even call that?
It's the off switch.
He hits him with the terrace afterwards. I guess terrace is the I don't know.
Yeah,
but
balcony.
He does that.
Yeah, the catwalk.
Anakin, but also knocks out. Again, throws Obi-Wan and hits him with the terrace, and it's like, you couldn't have done that sooner. You couldn't have done that again. It's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, but then he tells. He's doing his job perfectly. He's clearly trying to lure Anakin to the dark side, and he's doing it perfectly. He brings him up, and they're clearly matched 1-for-1. And he's like, "Hey, kid, I can sense this anger within you, but you're not using it." And Anakin is like, "Yeah, I do have anger within me. Let me tap into that right quick." And suddenly he's beating him, which is exactly what Dooku wants at that exact. Dooku is like, perfect. I'm doing my job. I'm hitting it.
But Anakin is too good.
Yeah, does a bit too good. Gets both of his hands lopped off. Probably wasn't betting on that.
That was the first point where you can tell it's like, this is not part of the play. It's like, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't think that he would do this to me. Oh, I liked those hands.
Yeah.
Just like I like my life.
Yeah. And then he's got him on his knees, and Anakin picks up the red lightsaber, which is, again, another sign of Anakin.
Not only, he doesn't pick it up, he cuts off his hand, and in this whole maneuver where he cuts off the hand, his lightsaber goes up in the air, and then he catches it.
Catches it out of the air, yeah. Very stylish.
Style. Yeah, I was like, let's not undercut the style that Anakin does. He's not doing
so cool. And again, that's what frustrates me so much with the modern Disney stuff. Everything in this old Disney, in this old Star Wars, it was just cool. If it was dumb, it was at least cool. If it's dumb,
this is one of the most obvious cases of red letter media being actually, why is everyone so good at fighting? They should look a lot sloppy. I want you dead.
Red letter media really say that?
Yes.
Did they not understand that these are supposed to be super powered warriors?
They're like, this looks too much like a dance. They should fight more raw and untrained. And I'm like, I hate you when I saw that.
No. I mean, the fact it. Okay, so
wasn't such copyright pricks, we would cover their video because they make some valid criticisms, but so much of that video is wrong. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, I don't know how you can get that point so wrong. The Jedi are supposed to fight like dancers. That's the deal. They can see the future.
Is too. The thing I hate about them, they're too stupid to understand a lot of the few nuances that are actually in these movies. They fail to grasp them, and it's so frustrating because they still to this day think that the Last Jedi is the better Star Wars film than all the prequels.
They do think that.
Oh,
I know.
that opinion is so bad.
They even think Rise of Skywalker is still better than the prequels. I don't know how you hold that opinion.
Uh-oh,
You hold it.
stinky.
I mean, like, you kind of get it when you, like, see that, like, when they have their episode 1 thing, and then they're like, I can't remember any of the characters' names. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, when
Half
that...
the characters are in all the other movies. What are you talking about?
Yeah, like...
Yeah,
Like,
for
I don't
real.
know these characters' names.
Yeah.
Like Obi-Wan, R2, and C-3PO, who
No, Peck,
Peck.
I don't know if you've seen the Red Letter Media video.
I haven't.
It's it's really bad. That part is like very funny. They're like, like they.
What's his name? Guy-Gon? It's like, are you kidding me? Like, come on.
What?
Yeah,
Like,
The
on a
only
such
guy I
a
remember
memorable
is Jar
character.
Jar is because I
you know
hate
all
him.
the characters, and they're like, I don't know.
Sincerely, please perish.
Like, they just make jokes about like how they can't remember any of their names except I think Jar Jar, who they're like, oh, that's Jar Jar. I hate that guy. It's like, I hate you. Like,
And it's
Honestly,
worse
that
when
is a pretty funny joke, though. I'm not gonna lie. That is actually a
If it was a
pretty
joke,
funny
sure.
joke. If it was a
the
joke,
thing
yeah.
is, it's they're not using it as a joke. They're using it as a
Oh,
They're
Yeah.
using it as like all the main characters are forgettable and pointless and don't have like any character development. That is the point of that joke, is to portray.
Honestly, who are the new characters in reality that we don't know before? It's just Padme, Qui-Gon, and Jar Jar, the only new people that you get introduced to. Everybody else is from previous movies or doesn't get a name and doesn't matter anyway. I don't expect you to know Wedge Antilles from the opening of episode 4, just like I don't expect you to know Captain Panaka's name. Who cares? They're not important characters.
Vitally important. Say Panaka's name.
I know Panaka. I know who he is, but I'm saying, like, it doesn't really matter. Those aren't the characters that most people are concerned with you saying.
yeah. I
Oh,
have legitimately no idea who you're referring to.
Same.
Panaka is in all 3 movies. It's clearly very vital that we know.
Is he one of the clones?
He's the black
No,
guy
he's-
with the eye patch from Naboo.
the black guy with the eye patch?
Nope, don't remember him. Nope,
No,
See,
no
I
idea
told
who
you-
that character is.
I told you, Des. These are secondary characters for us.
I
for
know.
us
Look, I'm
hardcore
agreeing. I'm
fans.
agreeing. He's a secondary character. I'm like.
But
I
like,
agree.
again, I wouldn't bring him up as a character that we need to know the name of. Like when I'm talking about this again, like the fact that they said that they don't remember Qui-Gon's name. Like,
Yeah,
come
no.
on,
When you say
It's
Qui-Gon,
insane.
like it's
That is
so
absurd.
funny.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you look at like,
Yeah.
why is that the character you'd point to? Again, there's so many side characters you can at least pretend that were important. And if you're gonna say Qui-Gon, couldn't you at least come up with a funny name for him? Like, yeah, isn't his name like King Blowjob or something? Like that way you know
Yeah.
it's supposed to be a joke. Like I don't like Cinema Sins.
They're
But
like.
when they make jokes like that, like that's very clearly meant to be a joke.
They're like. I think it's like Guy-Gon, and they're like, oh, it's Liam Neeson's character. It's like, I
Yeah,
hate you.
they call Liam Neeson's character, and then they give Padme, I think they call a panda.
Yeah.
So
This
So
is
frustrating.
devolving into red light.
one day we'll kill them. One day.
Yeah.
Because again, like every time
Literally
they
mean
do-
that the consequences have disaster for Star Wars.
they've ruined criticism of these movies forever because
Yeah.
they just straight up lied in their things, and it sucks because the only person who was doing anything worth criticizing them was Anomaly, and then he went crazy and said that Dishonored Wolf should eat a bullet and kill himself. So fully off the internet for that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The only person who's actually ripping them down. It sucks because he was wrong a lot of his criticism to them, but he's at least trying. So, anyway, so that fight scene was another cut scene from here was supposed to go on even longer. Obi-Wan was supposed to have a more potent role in the fight, but they cut it. And then from here,
Yeah, I could see them cutting Obi-Wan's role in the fight, because they just knock him out. And then
Well, as part of that, it's very funny that like Anakin immediately goes to fight Dooku, and then Obi-Wan goes to fight the two B2 battle droids and just immediately cuts them down. It's like, why were you even? Yeah.
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 Well, just in case you needed some fire support, they did not provide that.
Yeah.
there was supposed to be another cut in the middle of this fight scene, which I'm really glad they cut it, to another R2-D2 fight scene.
That's fascinating.
Oh yeah, that would have ruined the pacing.
That is
Absolutely
fascinating.
did. let's see. I'm going through a list here. Again, these are official ones from the books that we know about. So there are possibly more too, because Shakti's only listed once on this list, even though she dies 6 different times.
We've seen 2. We
Yeah.
have footage.
We have
2
different scenes of her dying. But anyway, so they have a really good fight. Dooku gets killed. Obi-Wan's unconscious. Palpatine's like, all right, we have to leave him, Anakin. It was a good thing you killed that guy. And it's interesting because, I know all people who watch this have seen the movie by now. If you haven't, go watch it. This is a mirror of the exact situation later on with Palpatine is pretending to surrender to Wendu.
Yeah, it's a mirror. It's a mirror of that, and of course, it's more obviously a mirror of Episode 6, where Luke's faced with a very similar choice of kill this evil dude who took your, who cut your arm off.
Yes, exactly. They're both very good, and I think that the interesting thing is by Anakin's guilt from killing Dooku, I think was completely set up, and Palpatine knew that it was going to have this situation where he's like, "Hey, I'm going to set Anakin up to feel guilty about killing Dooku, because later on, if I do need to get mercy from the Jedi, I can get it from Anakin." Because Palpatine's manipulating people in every aspect, and I think it shows us how brilliant Palpatine is of planning ahead. Dooku's useless to me right now. I need to move I don't want to say the plot, but it's the plot along.
I need to move the Anakin plot forward.
Exactly. And I need to put Anakin I need to have, Anakin shouldn't kill people tokens in my pocket, because I've got Anakin should kill people tokens in plenty. Those sand people, he murdered the hell out of them. So I know he's good at killing people when I need him to kill.
Yeah, exactly.
I need a few Anakin don't kill me tokens as well.
Honestly,
he's like this, he was too dangerous, this is like the sand people, this is fine, dude.
You told me about the Anakin, which is like, don't worry, buddy, I won't tell anybody that you killed all of those sand people. Now let me out.
Yeah, he's like, it's not that big a deal. You killed the sand people. This is basically the same thing. Anyways, let's move on.
Oh, and also leave Obi-Wan.
Yeah, leave Obi-Wan.
The characterization with the Emperor is just fantastic. They do such a good job of setting up the Emperor as this master manipulator. He is so competent. I love it. That's how you write a competent villain who's not really the best at fighting. The Emperor loses most of the fights that he's directly involved in. Most.
What do you mean?
I mean, loses.
Yeah, Mace Windu beats him like a redheaded stepchild. Whenever Vader gets around to it, he beats him. I'm trying to think of other ones.
Yoda fight.
The Vader.
I think Yoda's the only one I can think of that he wins.
Yeah, I think Yoda he wins. I would say he beats Yoda badly.
But it was really a standstill with Yoda. He manages to push Yoda away, and they were both not having a good time in that fight.
Yeah, but Yoda realizes. I'm not winning this fight.
Yoda bails. I think that's I'll give Palpatine the dub for that.
He's I'm not winning this. He's like.
But I mean, he loses to Windu, and I mean, in the Legends, correct me if I'm wrong, Des here, but in the Legends, doesn't Windu know some form that is literally impossible to beat if you're one-on-one with him?
It's a very powerful technique that uses both the light and the dark, but. Again, with the Windu fight, I don't know how much that is actually him losing, and how much is that is oh hey, Anakin's here now. We can now I can complete.
Maybe.
I don't know. When he was getting shocked, Windu just had to Yeah,
but he only starts doing the shocking thing 5 minutes before Anakin is there, when Anakin probably would have had the thing parked. It would have been I feel Anakin walking up the steps. Now is time to throw the fight, so that we can have some the Anakin.
Maybe, I don't know. It felt to me like he lost that fight fair and square. Windu was about to Windu him in.
Yeah. When he's doing the lightning, that is when Anakin's in the room as well. That's not doing that when Anakin is he's not doing that when he's still looking out the window in the temple. It's he's doing that directly when Anakin is looking at him and trying to decide what am I going to do with this.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It feels to me like they set him up as not being the best fighter, but that's not where his skills are. His skills
I
are
guess to put in
being
perspective.
Like, even against
When
Mace
you-
Windu, he had to do dirty tactics in order to win by, like, getting Mace Windu to question whether or not he should kill him using Anakin.
Not only that, but like to put into perspective, Windu knocks like his saber out of his hand. He does the crawling to the side, but like within that window, there's like a minute or so, and that's when Anakin walks in the door. Like not even lands the ship, like he's in the door within that like minute of him losing his lightsaber. So there's like a minute time span. Like it is like I think there's a good argument he threw the fight at that point.
We'll get to. Why don't we table it till we get to that?
Yeah, this is a discussion for much later in the movie. But,
Yeah, for a little bit later. Yeah.
14 deleted scenes to get through.
nice.
So, the climb through the elevator shaft was supposed to be about 3 minutes longer.
That's fascinating.
There was a scene where they get ambushed by Magna Guards, and Anakin had to fight them off, protecting Palpatine and Obi-Wan, which would have been really cool to see, but like just that was completely cut.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how, but there was a scene where they jumped into a water shaft and had to swim through.
Oh, I know. So this one I do know how this ties in because this ties into the ray shields, and this is where Grievous kills Shaak Ti, and then
Of course, Grievous kills Shaak Ti.
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean. So this is the first Shaak Ti kill. Is Grievous stabs her through the back while being like, "Ha ha ha! We have you captured." To escape that, because they don't immediately go to the bridge like they do in the movie. In this, they then tunnel through the floor to then go into the water system, and that's where we get whatever deleted scene happens there. Is understanding. So that one I understand.
Another R2D2 fight scene here because he got left up there with them. Palpatine also was supposedly cut out. He cut out several different times where Palpatine did things like suspiciously, is the way it's described. Little things like they're trying to get through a doorway and Anakin doesn't have the ability to move it. So like Palpatine, like he kind of moves his hand and the door shuts. Little things like that were cut, and Lucas cut them because he felt like it was giving away Palpatine's hand a bit too early.
Oh yeah, that absolutely would have.
Which I completely agree because you get the plot twist if you only watch the prequels that Palpatine's the Emperor.
Yep.
Which is what Lucas wanted to do. Then when they get to the what's it called? To the bridge, they get there by climbing through a shaft, the same shaft that Grievous takes to like use his escape pod. They cut through another area like that to get back into the ship. And that's when they get to the bridge. They're not handcuffed there. They immediately there. There's another scene there where instead of when they arrive handcuffed on that ship, where instead of Grievous being like, the negotiator, he turns around with Shaak Ti, he's like, and cuts her head off. It's like, welcome to the bridge.
So there's 3 Shaak Ti death scenes in this movie, and
Yes.
2 of them are on Grievous ships.
Yes.
That's fascinating.
Bruh.
Yeah.
Why? What is? He just cuts off Shaak Ti's head. Well, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Huh.
I know. He just cuts her off. It's like, welcome to the ship, to the bridge. And that's where he hears, so you're the negotiator, after he cuts her head off, which, okay, kind of goes hard, but, you know. But I'm glad they cut that out, because I think it would have completely ruined how all the banter they did immediately afterwards, because they're all like, ha-ha, hoo-hee-hee-hee, at that point. If the friend Shaak Ti had just been killed, they should have been a lot angrier.
Well, not only that, like, I think it's a bit silly that it's like, oh, you guys arrive, I'm killing Shaak Ti. It's like, why are we doing this now? Like,
yeah, shouldn't you have done this a little while ago? Like a little while ago? I don't know. Yeah, maybe have her corpse strung up or something.
While they're captured, like, I get it. Like, there's something there. But if they just jumped in, they still have their lightsabers. Like, this is your top priority. Like, I don't know, maybe like capture them first. Like,
yeah. And then we have the awesome fight scene on the ship, and I love this fight scene so much because the fight's okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Like it's an okay fight because this film's full of great fights. But the real fun part about this fight scene is Grievous tells the droids to keep working, and because this is all hand animated CGI, the droids who are like not in the fight scene, watching them in the background is the funniest stuff. They're trying
it's
like
funny.
to work the computers and like they're ducking around because I want to watch it with my dad. I'm like, watch the droids here, and you see several times the droids are like they'll reach up there like I want to but can I just get past you here? It's so funny watching them.
Yeah, the fact that they're
Mhm.
running into each other and like all this stuff, it's awesome. And not only that, like you also have the what's it called, the Nemodian on the seat that's like controlling the ship as like the head guy as well. He's just sitting in his big chair.
Watching the fight.
Yeah,
He looks like at the droids, orders them, and like, so we have to fight, trying like, okay, I'm about to get completely ruined here. And it's so
Yeah.
funny watching the entire scene. Like, because it's all hands CGI, there's none of this computer does it for me stuff that a lot of the like Disney's relying on now. And it's just because each scene's so lovingly done, they get to do this funny stuff in the background. Like it's really funny because there's a scene that I know where they get into the lower ring, right by the window, and Obi-Wan's there. There are two B1 droids. One of them is trying like he reaches forward and stops, and another one bumps into him, and he turns around and like smacks the other one like, "You idiot! You almost pushed me into them." It's so great. Like you look
Yeah,
like this is. Oh, I love it.
It's such like a fast-paced, frenetic action scene. There's just so much going on the whole time. It's really, really well done. Very, very well done action scene. Just top to bottom.
Oh, the one thing I do want to say as well, I do love that. I don't remember when it happens during all the shenanigans. I think it. Oh, I know when it happens. It's after Dooku's killed, like immediately after Dooku killed, where we get like some dedicated like watching the what's it called, the
Oh,
Venator.
the ships fight. Oh yeah, so good.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
was like
they
thinking,
cut-
I'm like,
so-
no, this already happened. We skipped this. I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to go back to this.
So
Like,
you
it's
can go
awesome.
back to it. Scenes 37 through 41 were supposed to be more combat scenes dispersed throughout intermittently.
I probably would have like, of all the scenes so far that we've talked about, I think more ship, like bigger, wider ship.
No, don't worry. We're about to get to some like the next cut scenes, just things like I actually think would be benefit the movie a lot. So this is the majority of the cut scenes have happened already, by the way, because I think we're up to what? We're up to 41, and then scene 186 is the last one. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So here's the thing. At the end of I just want to talk about this real quick. Which is another plot hole in my opinion. So at the end of the fight, Grievous is like, "Ha! You suck! I'm escaping again!" And he throws one of the Magna Guard's staff into the window. It shatters. He leaps out into space.
Yeah.
The problem with this, right, is Grievous needs to breathe.
No, he doesn't. I'm pretty sure he does.
Why is he breathing then?
Pag's problem is if he's coughing because he can't breathe in space. If he can't breathe in space, why is he coughing? I completely understand.
Why do his lungs not get turned inside out in the vacuum?
It would have been fixed had Grievous like put like some sort of click the button and you saw like his chest plate close. Then it happened.
Yep.
Sure, but
like a 1 second thing.
Yeah. Like had he picked up the saber, clicked the button, and like his chest cavity closed, like, oh, that's weird. Then he spears the thing. Because at first you could think, oh, he's getting combat ready. Because he was a robot, so he shifts around. Like had all his joints like sealed up. You're like, why is he sealing himself up? That is you getting ready for combat, and then it's no, he's escaping. That would have been much cooler of a scene. It would have again showed his competency.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it would have been that easy to do, which is why I'm dinging it here. It would have been
I agree.
1 second, and they just didn't do it. Which I think Grievous gets done dirty. I think Grievous gets done mad dirty.
Grievous is actually done dirty.
Yeah.
Done dirty because all of his cool stuff was removed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was supposed to fight them with lightsabers too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's another one of the cutscenes that I was going through the list I missed. He was supposed to engage them in a fight here with lightsabers a bit, and then the Magna Guards get involved because he's like losing a little.
That would have been a good scene.
Yeah, and that's why he escapes. Instead of just not fighting them at all, he's like, well, I already kind of lost to you jerk-offs, and you killed all my Magna Guards, so my cheat codes are done, so bye.
Yeah.
Then we get...
also, so... One more thing before we leave this fight scene. One more thing. I think the how easily Obi-Wan and Anakin dispatch the Magna Guards in this, once you've seen Star Wars Clone Wars 2003, once you've seen how hard the Magna Guards go in that versus how easily they're dispatched by Obi-Wan and Anakin in this, I think it's a good power scale thing. I think it just shows very well that Anakin and Obi-Wan are just simply on a different level than all
I
of
was
these.
going to disagree until you got to the actual point you were saying, and then I completely agree.
Yeah,
That
I
was
think
the point I
it's
was going to bring up when I thought that you were going in a different direction.
yeah. So yeah. Anyway, that's all I had to say. I don't. Do we have anything more to add to this fight scene?
I do want to talk about a couple things. There was some great chats. So I just wanted to cover because I was gone for a little bit. I wanted to say welcome Alex Gomez, by the way. Yes, it's a prequel discussion. Episode 3 is not just the best prequel; it's better than episode 6 by far, and it might be better than episode 4. I have to, it's a close one, I'd say there. I can't say that on YouTube, but it's very funny. James, we're talking about Red Letter Media because Red Letter Media is the reason that this movie is overly hated wrongfully. Their criticisms for I'd say 80% of their criticisms are just wrong. Is Shock T the Kenny of Star Wars? Yes. And NNN is correct. Grievous looked devious as hell with a cape. It was very awesome. And now Nefarious is correct. Gendy Grievous was the best Grievous by far.
Gendy Grievous?
And then is wrong.
Gendy's the one who made the 2003 show. Gendy Tartakovsky.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, his Grievous was the best version of Grievous by far.
He's a fucking monster. Oh.
Yeah, Grievous is to me in that series the best villain I think ever in all of Star Wars in terms of how cool he is. And
he's like a horror movie villain sometimes.
Yeah, I've never been able to make a villain in my games that has that same feel. And if I could, I would be so happy.
In terms of cool, I agree. In terms of villain, probably not. But
it's just coolness. It's just cool factor. That's all I'm talking about. Like his presence and the way he fights, like Pac said, it's like a horror villain. Yeah, I get it. They're more powerful people, and Emperor's a much more devious and fun guy to watch. But Grievous in that, it was just if I had to send in the guy to FS up, that's who I'd send in.
Mm-hmm.
To fry steaks up, that's who I'd send in.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting a funny scene. So at this point, the ship's crashing. We all know this fun scene. It's an awesome scene. One of my favorite side notes here is this is the only time in all the Star Wars movies where, unless he's dead, where Palpatine looks like, this is bad.
No, exactly. Yeah.
This is the only scene in all 6 series. Yeah, where he's like, this is not going well. This is going very, very poorly for me. When the things are crashing, he's looking around in the back like, oh no. It was
I made a mistake.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And R2's looking at him like, bro, what are you concerned about? We're fine. We crash ships all the time. And look at me, I'm fine. I don't even have any head injuries.
It's also cool that we see a bit of the civilian stuff with how even the clones are working on firefighter duty, because I'm pretty sure we hear clone voices specifically with the.
And also, not just
they have firefighting ships, which is a neat little thing.
Yeah, it's not just cool, but it just shows how much of the government has been subsumed by Palpatine and his ilk. Mm-hmm. Palpatine and his team really have his planet have really taken over. Palpatine when he is Palpadult. All right, NNN. All right, that's a good one. I'll give you that. However, this is where we get to cutscene number 48. After they crash, Palpatine greets Mace Windu because Windu shows up at the crash site, and they apparently have some banter, which sets up stuff later on.
Is that why Mace Windu is like, I don't trust this guy?
Well, I mean,
there's something wrong with him.
He doesn't like him, but it sets it up there. When he lands, Palpatine makes apparently a snide comment or two, which was cut for time reasons. But it was one of those things where, when you lands, it was like, I'm sure the landing was well chanced. And he's like, it was okay. But Anakin here, he's a true hero. He killed Dooku, and Palpatine says something says something like, we should have taken him alive for questioning. And Palpatine says, do not question Anakin's choices. I think they were great, and I'm the Chancellor. And then they glare at each other a little bit. Because
Nice.
Palpatine's basically like, yeah, Anakin's cool for killing that bastard. And Wendy's like,
Yeah.
could have asked him for things. And Palpatine's like, don't worry about it, bro. Trust me, it's fine.
Trust the
Palpatine's like,
plan.
I love murder.
Yeah. Okay. Then we get the scenes where they are heading back to
Then we get the council scene, or not the council, like
no,
the
this is where
Senate,
they're
the
heading
Senate
back,
scene.
and this is where we get the I'm not brave enough for politics scene where Obi-Wan drops Anakin off at the Senate chamber so he can go make out with Padme in front of all the cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the banter of like going back and forth and how initially Obi-Wan's like, "Oh, I'm doing you a favor," and then Anakin's like, "Dude, this sucks. I don't want to do this." And like
Yeah.
they go back on like he's like, "Oh, aren't you coming to take all the glory?" He's like, "Dude, I hate this." And he's like, "You're making me do all the work?" Like it's like you asked him to join you. It seemed like like this was a good thing, Like
This was your idea.
it turns from like, "Oh, this is like a thing where we should revel in our glory," to like, "This is gonna suck. Why aren't you coming with me?"
Yeah.
Like, which is
Yeah, like, I don't want to do this. Why are you making me do this?
God,
Stop,
man.
please.
Also, yes, to answer Lamb's question, yes. Can't say that on YouTube, but yes, Lamb.
Yes, for sure.
Make sure
There was
everybody likes the video before YouTube kills me in my sleep.
Look, he does say in the first episode when Anakin is like 10,
I'll be watching your
we
career
will
with great
watch-
interest.
Yeah, we will watch your career with great interest.
So,
What
speaking
did
of
he mean?
exactly, speaking of something interesting, it's in the theatrical cut. Obi-Wan just
Wow.
like leaves, and then we just follow Anakin for the whole time. We actually don't have that happen in the original cut. After Anakin makes out with Padme and all that still happens, but we cut to Obi-Wan as he arrives back at the temple. Obi-Wan walks in on Yoda's quarters. You know that the scene later on where it's like dark with the lights coming through. He sees Mace Windu and Yoda there, and they're talking, and they say, "We could sense that there's something evil's happening." They talk about the dark side, how it's been clouding their judgment more. They talk about how they've been feeling the dark side is getting closer and closer to them, and how they felt like it was, the closest it's been to them in a while was today. I was, with Palpatine almost being captured. That scene is just cut from the movie, which is interesting because it establishes why Obi-Wan could not be there. And apparently, according to one of the guides, I haven't seen this scene, but one of the people who worked in the film said that he worked on that scene. There's a line in that scene where they mention that Mace detects a lot of dark side energy around Anakin, which sets up the no master promotion later.
Well, not only sets the no master promotion, but also sets up his mistrust a lot better.
Yes. Then from here, if we cut back to another scene that was cut, go ahead.
Well, before we get to that, there's also the nice detail that I think helps explain. Because, like, most viewers are like, okay, so Dooku's dead. Like, okay, so the war's over, right? And it's like, no. Like, Grievous is the head in charge, and he is competent enough that even with the reduced forces, even though they lost the Battle of Coruscant, like, the Separatists are not falling apart. Like, Grievous is able to take control.
Yeah, they're in retreat. They've suffered a terrible blow, but they're not done.
Yeah, like, Grievous is still enough to hold them together and keep things, like, running well enough where the war will continue. Where Mace Windu's like, oh, so the war's done, right? And it's like, no. Like,
so that
not
discussion
yet.
happens. And then we cut from their discussion with Palpatine, where they're talking about the war's over, but it's not, to Bail Organa. This is a scene that actually gets
this
now.
one I do know. Yeah.
Well, this is
Bail
the first.
Orgasma.
Yeah, there's like. By the way, Des, there's 6 of these scenes. This is
Okay.
the first scene, and this stuff is paid off in Andor later on, which is really interesting. That deleted scenes get paid off in a Disney Plus series, 20 years later. They start talking about how worried they are because the Senate seems to be just voting yes on everything that Palpatine wants lately. They don't even have discussions a lot of times, and Bail and some of the senators like, it's kind of weird, isn't it? And how all these people just keep agreeing with Palpatine, and how some of them, such as the senator from Ryloth, seem to be getting really wealthy, and since they've been voting with Palpatine. It sets up a little bit of like, something's going on here. Just a little bit.
Yeah, something ain't quite right. There's something happening here, and what it is ain't exactly clear.
Because anyone's guess, this seems like the process running smoothly and as intended.
Yes. So
Anyways.
now, from here, what happens next in the movie after they talk about?
Yeah.
Look, all I'm
So
saying is, I want to see what Bail Organa is trading before we pass judgment on the senator from Ronald. Okay.
he's training booty.
Not
So
what I meant, but okay, sure.
that's what they call him, orgasma. Anyway,
You know what we talked about so far, Nebula.
So remember how I remember most of this from the Lego Star Wars game?
Yes. Which is completely skipped over. Yeah, which all of this is skipped over because it goes from the opening scene with that, and then episode. I don't remember what the second level is. What's the second? Because this, I know it skips like wide margins of this movie.
Let me see.
Like 3/4 of the game is like episode 3 specifically is the second half of.
While Nebula tries to remember what he remembers, the scenes that we have is Anakin and Padme kiss. She reveals she's pregnant. We cut to Grievous talking about how he's in charge of them now, and how Sidious says, "Don't worry, Darth Tyrannus was old and dumb. I got a new guy who's going to show up later."
He's going to show up. He's going to be better than the last guy. Also, send everyone to Mustafar immediately.
I really think that we got to talk about this Padme kiss. I think it's important.
Sure, but
real quick, to be clear, in the Lego Star Wars, Episode 2 is you rescue the Chancellor. Episode 3 is Obi-Wan 1v1ing Grievous with Cody. Or whatever.
Wow, so we got
before I knew like very quickly it goes immediately into the second half of the movie because I know Cody versus Cody Grievous. It's not even Cody because they use a generic 2.
No, it was specifically Cody or someone. It was someone with a gold thing.
It is Cody in the game. I remember this.
It's supposed to be Cody, but is a generic 214 from like a Lego battle pack of all things. Like it's not even supposed to be Cody. And it does not come in a set with Grievous and stuff like that. It is basically generic. But anyways,
in the game it says Cody, so it's Cody.
Is the second one saving Palpatine?
Yeah, looks like it said Chancellor in peril.
Yeah, because the first one is going.
First one is the stellar battle.
Yeah, the
first
opening
one is
fight
the battle in space. I guess the second one maybe is a battle against Dooku. Then maybe.
I think Dooku's the end fight. Yeah.
That's episode 2 or chapter 2 or whatever.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
First one is again
it's the space battle. It's the space
battle. The space battle. Right before that same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Right. So
hang on.
Oh boy.
No. Oh boy.
No.
Darth
you
Rudy
can't
the Wise.
say that. Can't say that.
With much more taut orifices.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this kiss because this is going to be an important part.
Yeah, it's just another plot hole. This is just another reason why I knocked things off. So, like, their relationship is super ultra secret. Super duper ultra secret. Because if Annie gets discovered having a relationship, he's out of the Jedi Order, and it's a huge deal. Big, capital B, capital D deal that he is not currently banging Padme. Huge deal. And yet, he separates from Senator Orgasma. Not 2 seconds later, he's going over to this woman who's hanging out behind a pillar, and he just like grabs her around the waist. Even if you're saying like, oh, okay, he's just hugging this person who's his like best friend who's not seeing. If you ever see another guy hug your girl and he is wrapping his hands around her waist specifically, your girl is cheating on you, bro. Like that is a clear sign. And then. Okay, so even if you're just like willing to accept that, like, oh yeah, they're just hugging. Later on in the scene, they like deep kiss for like
It's like
5
seconds
seconds.
after he. It's like 5 seconds after he puts his hands around her. Let's be very
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah, if this
Yeah.
is how you greet your friend's wife, that is your friend's. You should kill
Yeah.
her.
He's tasting what she had for breakfast yesterday, and like down
I'm
deep.
sorry. No, guys. Look at what in has to say.
I have had better kisses. I believe it. Lamb seems like a good kisser.
Plausible deny.
Problem is with kissing facing away from the camera, right? And sure, if they showed a camera, that would be one thing. But the video capture tech in this setting is holograms, so they must catch everything. They must have some.
Yeah.
Maybe they use like some sort of like radar or some sort of piercing wave or something to catch everything all at once. And this is the hall of like the Senate. Like this is where the Senate goes to meet. The idea that every square millimeter of this entire place isn't like videotaped is insane. It's crazy. They should just not have had this scene occur here. They should it's just poor writing. It just shouldn't have occurred here.
He should have said, "I need to see Padme at her house first."
And this isn't a nitpick either. This is a big deal because as mentioned,
I'm going to say this right now. In about 30 seconds, your criticism will be proven correct.
Okay. But yeah, it's a big deal because, as mentioned, if Annie is caught, that's it. It's done. Everything explodes. His whole life is over. It's over if he's caught here.
Here's where we go next, and this is important. So after Pag's criticism, we talk about Utapau, which we did. We cut back to Coruscant, where Anakin wakes up in a panic, covered in sweat, because he's like, "Oh no, Padme! I dreamed you were going to die."
No, I don't think that's what happens. What happens next is the peak dialogue of "You're so beautiful." That's only
nope.
because
That happens later. I'm going to bite you if you bring that up again.
that was now.
It's later.
Dang it!
This is his first dream, Des. He has 2 wet dreams about Padme.
That conversation doesn't happen after the wet dream. This happens unprompted by anything.
Yeah, but the first wet dream is here, where he's like, "I can't live
I'm
without
not talking about the wet dream. I'm talking about him freaking creaming his pants over his wife. I'm not even talking about the wet dreams.
Yeah, that's after
let's
the Darth
be fair,
Plagueis
though.
the Wise scene.
It's
Is
Natalie
it?
Portman, and she is a baddie. I would cream too. Not gonna lie.
Look, freaking Atreya posted the meme, and then it got reposted in memes. Okay, you saw it, I saw it, we all saw it. That was what was happening. So fair enough.
Sorry, I lost my place getting angry at you, Des. This is where I wanted to say Pag's thing is paid off. Because Palpatine requests Anakin's presence, so he goes to the Chancellor's office. When he goes, though, Obi-Wan shows up at Padme's house and says, "Hey, have you seen Anakin? I'm looking for him." And she's like, "Oh, no, why would you think he's here?" And Obi-Wan looks around and is like, "No, I can say through the Force he was here."
Yeah, why do I think he's here? Because he's piping you, honey.
Well, he actually does basically say that. He's like, "Look, I'm worried about Anakin because I think he's going, something's going wrong." And he's like, "Well, why do you bring this to me?" He's like, "I know he's in love with you." And he looks around and going to the deleted scene. He's like, "And I can tell he's been here." And he kind of like trails off and looks at her apparently in the deleted scene. And then it cuts to when he's meeting in Palpatine's office and how he's like, "Oh yeah, the Senate has granted me full emergency powers. Everything is great. Nothing bad is ever going to happen. Also, I have direct control over the Jedi Council now because of the Senate. It's double great. I'm afraid, Anakin, that the Jedi are evil. By the way, you should go talk to the Jedi for me."
Yeah, you should be my spy on the council.
Yeah. Then we cut to another deleted scene, which is the second meeting between Bail Organa, Mon Mothma, and Padme. This is when Padme gets involved, and she starts saying, "Hey, I think you guys are right a little bit. We might have some issues. Maybe we should talk to Palpatine, though, about them." Maybe Palpatine's unwittingly being given all this power that he's abusing. It's just very funny, because that's how it is.
To be fair, she's been very friendly with Palpatine.
Yeah, sure, and I can move plants with the Force.
Exactly.
No.
Then from here,
Look,
Anakin gets point.
She sees Palpatine like we see Kid. Even if power landed in Kid's hand and it looks very suspicious, we'd be like, "That's not Kid. Come on."
I can
Kid
still
would
smell
never
it,
do
Padme.
that.
That's funny. Oh my god, that'll chat. You're on fire today. I love you guys today.
Yeah, usually the chat sucks, but today, wow,
Yeah.
lots of bangers.
Yeah.
Lots of bangers.
The next scenes we have Anakin's asked by Palpatine to spy on the Jedi. The Jedi ask Anakin to spy on them. And they raise him to the council, but don't give him the rank of master because that's what happened. This is when
This is absurd. It's insulting.
Yeah, this is randomly when in the middle of the dialogue they bring up the Wookiees, which has been moved on for a while.
What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
Yes, which does come back later to be important. Then from here, they Anakin
Well, are we going over broadly? Because there's a lot of this stuff is very important.
Well,
And
no, because then from here is when Obi-Wan tells Anakin to spy on him, spy on Palpatine, and he's unhappy with it. So those are the next group of scenes. What do we want to talk about here with the council scenes? Because I wanted to get that whole block of scenes in, from.
Okay, you just want to broadly overview.
Well, I just wanted to hit those scenes so now we can talk about them in detail. Because Palpatine basically says, "I want you to be a master." The council accepts it, and they both ask Anakin to spy on each other.
Yeah,
which is very funny.
It's great. I think it's a perfect representation of his divided loyalties.
Well, what's really nice is that and we'll get into I really want to talk about the part with Obi-Wan, but unfortunately, it's the last thing that happens. So I need to be patient and actually go through the events leading up to it. But it is nice that he's like, "Oh, I get to be on the council. This is awesome." I mean, they're not going to accept it, but this is pretty awesome, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't even care that Palpatine just told him to spy on the council. He's like, "Whatever, sure."
Yeah, because he's ambitious.
Yeah, he's like, "Whatever, cool. I'm on the council."
Yeah, it's funny because look at the counteractions of what happened. Palpatine says, "Hey, buddy, I got you this cool gift. It's a Chuck E. Cheese gift card that makes you the special boy. Also, do me this little favor and tell me all what your friends are doing behind the scenes." And he's like, "Bro, I love Chuck E. Cheese gift cards. You got it." And then he goes to the council and says, "Guys, I'm a Chuck E. Cheese kid. Like, screw you. At best, you're a Robbie the Rat kid. Now go stand in the corner. Also, tell us what your dad's doing when we're not looking."
Well, okay. Yeah. That is what's really nice is that they're like, "You're not a master. What are we talking about? You're not ready for this."
Well, no, it's funny because they take away the benefit. They poo-poo what Palpatine gave him, and then ask him to do the same thing that Palpatine did. When Palpatine's like, "Here, kid, I'll give you some benefit," the council's like, "Not only we're not giving you a benefit, we're taking away your toys, and we're telling you we hate you before we order you to do this thing you don't want to do." It's such a juxtaposition, and it just shows a little bit of how kind of far the council has fallen, that they are just completely disregarding Anakin's feelings on the situation.
Yeah, they couldn't predict this happening.
Yeah. Because this is one of the... this is actually important because... shut up for a second. Shut up.
I want to talk... No. This is the part I wanted to talk about. There is one person on the council who could have predicted how this was going to go down. Because
you ain't wrong.
Obi-Wan is like, "Hey, you're not A, this is a great honor, even if it's not as great as you wanted. B, you're you'll be a master in 3 days. Calm down. Third of all, most importantly, he's like, he's like, "Oh yeah, the council, by the way, I didn't want to do this. The council is telling you to spy on." He's like, and then Anakin's like, "Dude, what the hell? You're asking me to do this?" And I do really like the detail that it's the council is he refused to say that he is asking him.
Yeah,
he doesn't
actually his friend. And it's saying it's a good juxtaposition. Yeah. It shows that Palpatine's definitely Anakin's friend, even if it's false, because Palpatine's manipulating him. But he's acting like a friend when he's offering him a benefit to do something for him. The council's just demanding of him, and Obi-Wan's like, "Look, as your friend, I think this is wrong." And it just shows the juxtaposition. This is a good moment to show just how, even though the Jedi are correct to be suspicious of Palpatine, why they are failing compared to what Luke would eventually establish, because they are so bogged down in dogma that they forget the people. They're so a part of the system that they failed. This is one of the things the Jedi failed for, why they were wrong throughout the prequels. This is why people are wrong when they think balance in the Force is 2 Jedi and 2 Sith. No, the
Yeah.
problem was the Jedi had forsaken the balancing of the Force and gone into be a political figure. That's the real problem. They became political animals.
They tied themselves too much to the Republic. Like,
Yeah.
it's nice and all to be. And I know I got into an argument with a certain Frenchie about this before, but
He's
like,
dumb. He
they
likes to eat
shouldn't. They
frogs
should
and
not.
kiss girls. So he's dumb.
It turns out maybe being with the Force and stuff, it's not the greatest idea to tie yourself to the political establishment that may or may not make good or bad decisions.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how Obi-Wan's like, I am loyal to the Republic. And it's like, oh, well, maybe you should have been loyal to the Force, buddy. Like, or maybe you should have been loyal to your friends. Maybe some of this stuff could have been headed off.
Well, I mean, Obi-Wan is probably the least guilty of this, to be honest, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but he still is. It's kind of part of the deal. Overall, I think they do a good job of putting politics into this section without
dude,
it
we
being
need
boring.
to ban Lamb. What is he's going off too much.
Oh no!
Look at the chat.
Sure that oh no.
Labus.
he hit him back to back too.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Lamb is too powerful.
Lamb is extremely powerful.
Yeah.
Darth Lamb over here.
Yeah.
Also, James, Luke's Order, the sequels, we don't count that as canon. That's Disney canon.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
We're counting it, from what Lucas intended. I'm going to go with Lucas's intentions, not what Disney screwed up. But,
yeah, not.
Yeah, I mean, I think Luke
non-garbage.
did make an order, but it certainly didn't end how they showed it.
Yeah.
I totally believe he started like putting together a new set of Jedi.
AJ,
Certainly nothing else happened there,
correct.
but yeah.
That is the highest moral good you can do. That is correct.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that rejecting society, live in the woods. It's funny because that's what Yoda does.
True.
Yeah, the highest.
Which, by the way, is
the highest moral good. Correct.
Okay, so I think. Let me check my watch and see if it's deleted scene time yet.
Yeah, I will say, episode 3 in Lego Star Wars, it skips over so goddamn much.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It's
So,
kind of
remember how I just said that chapter 3 is a Grievous fight?
Yeah.
Even there yet.
I think episode 3 might have the biggest jump, just because
yeah.
the middle part is
do you know
so
what
much
4 is?
politicking, which again looks into the camera. I'm so glad that Red Letter Media had such valid criticisms that led to very productive things in the sequels, from them learning what they should do with politics.
The best part is, you know what they said when these films came out? They said George Lucas shouldn't have been allowed to direct these things. And they said, who they pick as a director?
They said J.J. Abrams.
They said J.J. Abrams.
I know
that. No.
They didn't say that initially, I don't think, but they definitely said that when Star Trek, the new ones, came out. They're like, this was like Star Wars.
Star Wars was good.
Yeah. Yep. They're like, this is bad Star Trek, but this is good Star Wars. J.J. Abrams should direct.
He's the best. I love him, and he gives great boy kisses.
Yep.
Speaking of boy kisses, now we move on from the loyalty scene to probably one of the as Lamb talked about, the interesting scenes. This is where we get the weird what does
there is one interesting. There's a nice scene in between before we get to the boy kissing scene, where Windu, Yoda, and Obi-Wan are flying to drop Yoda off on his Uber so he can go help the Wookiees.
Oh, it doesn't happen yet.
What do you mean that doesn't happen yet?
Yeah, no, that is actually after the Grievous fight. I know, because that's chapter 4, episode 3.
No, it's not. No, I'm not talking about that. It's where.
What
do you mean?
It's right after. Because it's after the scene with Darth Plagueis the Wise. I thought.
Is it really? I'm pretty sure it's
90%
before.
sure it is.
I'm pretty sure it's before.
Finish reading the wiki. He talks
Oh.
about Darth Plagueis the Wise. And then afterwards, Yoda arrives on Kashyyyk.
Oh, this is before he arrives at Kashyyyk, so it has to be before that scene.
You know what? Maybe the wiki just skipped that scene, I guess.
I think this wiki
we'll
skipped
just
that
say the wiki skipped it, and here we go. So it's right
So the
here.
scene is just like, basically it reinforces that Windu's like, this Anakin guy, no good. No bueno. I don't trust him. He's a no good
That
guy.
boy ain't right. That boy,
He's-
he ain't right.
Obi-Wan's like, dude, he's the chosen one. Like, what are we talking about? Like, he'll do fine. And then
Yeah.
Yoda's like, nah, I mean, I don't know. Like, he's a bit sketchy. And he's like, well, Anakin has never failed me. We've always done good. We've had the best of times, best of friends, the greatest war crimes. We've had lots of fun. He'll
The
be
greatest. We had the greatest times all the time. It's insulting.
Fantastic.
Fine. Yeah, exactly. All the while, we saw her yesterday, but we're not going to talk about that, or ever. We're not going to talk about her. You guys are actually going to talk. You guys.
We're not gonna bring it up.
Yeah, you guys are actually going to talk to her in like 3 minutes when she's fighting Maul on Mandalore, but we're not going to worry that Maul's also alive and she's fighting him right now. That's not really.
It's all right.
Yeah, Maul. I don't like I don't care. He might have killed my master, but like that's not really important right now. It's like, okay.
And I know she's your apprentice, and you said you'd leave the order if we ever got rid of her, Anakin. But she's over there in her mini skirt, so we don't care anymore.
Exactly.
Did I ever tell you about?
No, I said no to the car. I said we're not doing that. Not all fairies is correct. Mike did say he might be to blame for the sequels. Yeah, he did, and he said, "I'd say I'm sorry, but I'm not." Was one of he said. So yeah, I don't like RLM at all. I know a lot of people on our side of the internet do. They're wrong and they're dumb. Okay, so they go to the Mon Calamari Aquatic Ballet performing Squid Lake. This is all important details at the Galaxy's Opera House in the Uskuru district.
Yeah.
This is the weird water bubbles that he's standing in front of, which I hate and love at the same time. I hate it because it's dumb, but I love it because this is a very Star Wars thing.
This is I disagree. It's like dumb, but like it's the same type of dumb that like would happen at like some weird opera.
I just said though, this is dumb, but it's a Star Wars thing, so it's fine. It's like, yeah, I could see this being in Star Wars. Like, I don't like it, but like I don't think I would like it if it was real either.
Very small details that are very nice to see and say. We have George Lucas as the one blue people, and we have his daughter as a blue person next to him as well.
Yep, it's very wholesome.
A droid that is got some features that make me very worried about what's going to happen to that droid later on. Talking to, I don't remember the species, but it's very funny that is a detail that they decided needed to be in when Anakin walks into the opera.
It's gonna get its circuitry rearranged.
Yes, it is.
Speaking of, it's cool when Anakin walks in there and goes to say something to Palpatine. There's actually a cut scene in the middle of this scene, I believe. No, it's not the cut scene yet. Just after this. Sorry, the scene has a little bit of a problem. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Alright. You don't know that Grievous is on Utapau yet, right? No, they don't.
No,
this
is where he tells Anakin actually that he's on Utapau.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
that's what the cutscenes are. So yeah, we have the Darth Plagueis the Wise scene, which is a phenomenal scene, and Palpatine tells the people around him to leave, and Anakin doesn't find this suspicious at all. And it's kind of one of those things where, like, bro, if I'm at the pub with my boys, and you walk up to me and I look at my friends, all right, get the fuck out, and they leave, wouldn't you be like, that wasn't necessary, man? I'm just coming to say hi.
Nah, like if it was one like if it was like a normal tier buddy, sure. But like this is like pulling him aside tier, which like
no,
with
that's what I'm saying. Like this is one of the moments where Anakin's just like, oh, okay, you want to talk? I didn't expect this.
Yeah. Well, no, it is funny because the first thing he opens with is absolutely something that is not pull your buddy to the side tier. He's like, oh, by the way, we found the Grievous on Utapau. Like he's like this is what you wanted to like open with, like okay. Or maybe he doesn't tell them to leave yet. Maybe it's after he tells them about Grievous on Utapau that he.
But,
I don't know.
he talks about the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise. We all know
Yeah.
the copy pasta. And,
Yep.
Well, actually, Lom just made his new copy pasta, so
yeah,
we don't even.
you can just read Lom's post exactly.
It's not a story the Jedi would tell you.
I'm glad the story that the Jedi don't tell this story after. I wish I didn't read that story, to be honest.
Dez is just not into jorking and forking, everybody.
Look,
basically,
if there's some woman, it'd be doing something, but this is not the way. This is not what I.
not the gay.
This is not the.
There's nothing wrong with Darth Plagueis.
All right, so we got the scene here. It's full of nuanced subtleties. Did I ever tell you about my experiences with them?
No. I'm sorry. I need a little tangent on Niall Farius. Ahsoka was offered the rank of knight, but that was a complete cop out by the Jedi because they're like, by the way, like Ahsoka, you're completely guilty. We're going to have you possibly be executed by the Republic because we don't trust you, even though like you're clearly in the video like. A, you're being stupid because you're waving your hands in force choking motions while this lady in front of you is being choked. Not even like attempting. This is getting into a completely different tangent on the Clone Wars. But like the fact that you even say that like Ahsoka being offered a knight was like a reasonable like thing that the Jedi did, that was a complete cop out. They tried to.
How much of a cop out it is, Des? That the chick who did it, Barriss Offee, is in this movie hanging out totally fine. They were like, we're gonna have to execute her, and then this would be like a week later we see her hanging out on Kashyyyk because the Clone Wars is awful and not canon.
I don't remember seeing Barriss Offee. I know her master is, and I know she's.
That's where they got her from was the Kashyyyk scenes.
Is she on Kashyyyk? Because I thought she was supposed to be on a different planet, if I recall correctly.
Here. They get gunned down by the clones.
I know Barriss. I know what's his face?
Yeah, Lumlina or whatever her name was just here. So is Barriss.
I thought Barriss was supposed to be on a different planet because I think she gets a Padawan in Legends, if I recall correctly.
Oh, she's here.
I'm going to double check that because I don't.
Go for it. Prove me right once again, and go watch the movie for once in your life, Des. Favorite movie, my ass. So
I'm gonna kill you.
We have their fantastic scene where they talk about, Darth Plagueis the Wise, and how it relates to Anakin's plight for power, and how Anakin realizes, oh, I can keep my wife alive. What was that, Des?
Well, I'm not there yet. She's on Felucia. I see Dispatch to Felucia.
I'm thinking about Halo Secura, you dum-dum.
I'm looking at the wiki right now. She is on Felucia. She is not on. I'm pretty sure that's not true. Well, look, I'm looking at the wiki. I don't know what to tell you.
All right, chat. Remember this day. This is the day when I have to execute Des with a rifle to the back of the head.
I don't remember her being like of all the issues with the Clone Wars. This is not one of them. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they don't show Offee in this. Like, there's a lot of issues with the Clone Wars. This is not one of them, from what I remember.
But the Clone Wars is also not the film that we are discussing, or the television show. So, anyway, back to where we were, which was where?
Trying to do the Darth Plagueis the Wise scenes.
Yeah, Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Yeah. So this is where the Emperor clearly and absolutely hooks Anakin. And also where it's very clear that Palpatism is in fact the Emperor. Like, if it wasn't clear before that the Emperor was a Sith Lord and whatnot, this is where it should be clear to you. Like, this is where it's like smacked upside the head. Like, yeah, he's the guy, dummy. Because
this is the one case where, like, instead of it being like, this was much more explicit in the book, because in the book it's like it's illegal to be a Sith and stuff. So like the fact like it's already suspicious in this, but the fact that in the like book it's like explicit that like being a Sith is illegal and all things Sith is illegal. Like the fact that he's saying it like as well as in that, it's like even more suspicious in the book. It's very funny.
Yeah, that I don't know how you could make this even more suspicious, but yeah, very clear. Anakin, if he wasn't a dum-dum, probably, would have been like, "Hey, this is kind of suspicious. This is a little bit weird that he knows this story and that he's clearly tempting me. I don't know. Maybe I should say something about this so that we get a little bit of earlier warning." But no, Anakin is a dum-dum. Big old dummy McDummerson.
If
Because he basically says, "Hey, Anakin, this could keep somebody alive." Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Ooga,
yeah,
ooga.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it'd be like, hey kid. The kid's like, you know what? You know, those guys in World War II, they had a lot of gold in Argentina. And it's like, wow, I have financial troubles. This is just what I need. And I just don't question why kid very specifically knows that there's gold in Argentina. At Westling, in the capital of Argentina, in this very specific place. It's like, wow, thanks, kid, for this financial help. Anyways, why do you know about this? Why the guys in World War II hidden gold in Argentina?
Yeah. Maybe you'd like to join them. I've got a moon base for you to check out.
Yeah. And this is where we get, while Kid has time to figure out that he's wrong. That is an interesting decision that you decided to type now, Farius. This is where we see Kashyyyk, and this is just like we said before, a lot of very neat details. So there's
Farris Offie standing next to her master. Continue.
see that.
Continue.
No, have you posted something, or are we going
I
off
can't
of?
post things right now, sir. I'm in the middle of streaming.
Okay, fine.
Oh.
We'll post it later. What was the what am I talking about? Oh yeah. So very neat details on Kashyyyk. So they're like, oh, the droids are getting ready, and we actually see the I don't remember what the ships are called, but it's the things from Episode 1 that are in the like. I don't even know how to describe the shape really. It's the things that you see in Episode 1 unloading all the MMTs.
Or transport, yeah.
Well,
Big can things.
Look, I guess Baldroid transport is good enough.
Let's keep going. I don't want to get bogged down in details. Don't we?
Yeah, fair enough.
Fair enough.
And then we see the very nice, I think it's A6 Juggernaut. We see I don't remember the other vehicle, but it has 2 legs until it has a 3rd leg.
ATE, right?
No, not the ATT. It's the AT. It's AT something, but
ATRT, is it?
Well, there are some ATRTs, which are a very nice detail and precursor to the ATSTs, but there's another one that, because the ATRTs are the small ones that have clones on top. This is the big one that has like the ATTE like cannon, and it has the small gunner on top of the giant cannon, and then it has one on its between.
They got a whole bunch of cool specialized ships, and then what's also going on here during this scene, we see that Anakin gives information to the council, and they radio to Yoda, and they have a little meeting here, and then Yoda says, "Hey, you guys should act decisively." What's going on here?
Yeah, but it's also cool to see like the trenches and all them up on the. You see you actually see in the background. You see the. I only noticed this on the latest viewing, but you actually see the Venator landed on the planet to where they were unloading all of the troops and stuff. So it was pretty recently. Of course, the trench.
Quick side note. Everyone who's watching, like the video right now, or you are filthy traitors to the Republic.
So true.
And it is treason then.
Yep.
True.
Yep.
And also just the cool ships for the Wookiees specifically, where you see the special ship they have and the giant what's it called?
Technically, the scenes are a little bit later, but I don't mind going over it now.
Okay.
Because there's all the cool stuff on Kashyyyk.
There's a million details in like half of like when they cut to like one of these planets where it's just like, oh, there's like a billion small, really cool details that like.
So this is when they tell Anakin, "No, you're not killing Grievous. We're sending Obi-Wan to do it. Shut up, boy. We don't love you."
Yeah, he's basically like, "Hey, Palpatine says I should do it," and they're like, "Nah." Like Palpatine said we're doing it, so we're not doing it. Like he's like, "What the hell?"
And then they
And then
have a
like
really
you
nice
know,
scene here where Anakin and Obi-Wan are like, Anakin's like a madman, and I'm pissed off that they're doing this to me, and Obi-Wan's like, hey, dude, I get it, relax though, it's all good. We know that you're you're a good person, and you're strong and wise, and that it'll be your time soon. Don't worry, I got you, buddy. You'll make a master in no time. And when I get back, we're gonna get a beer, and it's gonna be all good. Next time I see you, it'll be perfect, right, friend? And they say, yes, friend. Next time I see you, there'll be nothing wrong.
well, yeah, it's a good detail because like the one who initiates the conversation isn't Obi-Wan. It's not like Obi-Wan's like, dude, like you need to calm down. It's like Anakin's like, I've been messing up. He's like, I know I've been messing up, but like, I'm sorry for disappointing you. And he's like, you see it on his face too, where he's like, I'm proud of him for, stepping up and like being able to look inwardly and be like, oh, he actually is acknowledging that like, recently like Anakin, like, come on, like you can do better than this. And, yeah.
Get ready for more deleted scenes. So now we have scene 73, where Anakin goes to Palpatine and says, "Don't worry, Obi-Wan will have Grievous's head." Then we cut to another scene later on where Jar Jar greets Anakin at the Senate, and they have a discussion about Jar Jar's policies and how Jar Jar is happy that he gets to represent the Senate.
Pause, or just one quick thing. Nile fairies, yeah, it is specifically a Venator in the background. They actually use that for the Kashyyyk map in Star Wars Battlefront 2, the new one that sucks. They do specifically show it as a Venator, especially since I think it's a tie-in to the fact that we see when Yoda goes on to, when they drop off Yoda, they are packing up the Venator. Again, it's one of the things we said earlier, or I guess I mainly said earlier, where they don't remember that any other ship exists except for the Venator. The Venator is the only thing that exists. Acclimators don't exist right now.
Then we get another deleted scene where Anakin confronts Padme because Padme's making several moves against the Senate, and she starts talking about it. And they basically have a political discussion on what is right for the Republic, what's wrong, and how Anakin's frustrated with what's going on in the whole thing.
Well,
Yeah,
actually,
I love how Anakin is just so stoked about the wartime powers being granted to the Chancellor. He's just like, yeah, hell yeah, this is
This
great.
is like, bro, because he's like, the Chancellor's a good person. Why wouldn't I want to give him more power?
this is
And Padme's
exactly.
like, yeah, but what if he wasn't? And he's like, but he is though.
This
Yeah,
is
I
this
don't
is
get
the
it.
exact same continuation from episode 2, where he's like, "Nah, republics suck. I like dictatorships." And she's like, "Oh, you're kidding, right?" And he's like, "Haha." He's just it's literally the
Haha, if you kiss me, yes.
it's literally the meme of like, you're looking at my face, right? You're
Yes.
looking at my face. Like, it's that scene. That's the scene where he's like, "Nah, republics kind of suck. I like dictators. Like, they did stuff done. Like, screw this republic stuff."
Yep, and we
Uh,
get some more deleted scenes
and he's
after.
like that. It starts because Anakin's like, "Oh, the Jedi are screwing me over," and he's like, "Okay, actually, they're both talking it from opposite ends. Where he's like, "Oh yeah, the Republic, like, it sucks how things are going," and she's like, "You're right, things are sucking." Anyways, can you ask Palpatine to end the war? He's like, "That's the opposite of what I wanted. Like, Palpatine's awesome. What are you talking about?"
And from here, by the way, we get another deleted scenes after this. I'm glad this was cut because this would have added a whole bunch of stupidity. We see the Republic cruisers arriving at Utapau, and then they have a small like skirmish, and then they hide behind a moon. It's like, well, that would have just given away the entirety of Obi-Wan's plan. So, thankfully, we didn't have that scene. Okay, so then we get another deleted scene where Obi-Wan spends, according to the deleted scene, 3 minutes negotiating with a merchant and trying to find which one of the Vaktols, which are the lizards, that he likes bogo. We only see a little snippet of the scene at the end where he's like, this one. But apparently he like tests a couple of them, throws some apples and stuff, and decides, nope, this is the guy I like.
It's a girl, actually.
That, what?
Then Obi-Wan arrives in Pow City, and as he gets there, he starts running around on the 10th level, and he finds the droids. They engage in combat as he's kicking Grievous's snot. Commander Cody then flies in, and then they have the whole big fight scene, chase scene, and all that stuff. It's very exciting. Obi-Wan drops his lightsaber, and Commanding Cody happens to find during the massive battle against the droids. Very convenient. How nice for him.
Yeah, it's insanely convenient. It's
And
very funny.
just take over.
So I mean, going back a little bit, I guess we probably want to talk a bit about the actual fight with Grievous. Huh? Okay, so yeah, like going back a little bit with because with the broad overview, going to the nitty gritty. It is I don't know how you feel about this, but I kind of want a discussion with you specifically because I feel like you might.
Sure.
Nebula again has the Lego game, and we have not yet gotten to.
Yeah.
We have not. We've not got into the final fight with that. So, how do you feel about Obi-Wan jumping down with Grievous?
So again, this is another rule of cool thing.
Yeah.
Like tactically, terrible decision. You're unbelievably horrible decision. Like really, you're jumping him at the height of his power before all of your dudes are here. Like really, that's
Yeah,
when
I don't
you
like.
choose
I
to
don't
do this.
like. I get the fact that he knows that Grievous isn't just gonna kill him like immediately, but I don't get like. But why? Like, what's the plan for like like the droids are still there. Like, what's the plan once like the clones do get here? Like, do you have a signal? Like, how well timed is this? Like,
Yeah.
like, what's the plan with it? Because like, I get the whole thing with the Magna Guards. Like, that's fine. You get that Grievous, of course, is gonna be like, dude, I hate Jedi. I'm not letting you guys kill him. That takes all the fun away. Like, screw that.
Mhm.
But like, I don't know how well coordinated it was. And I guess might as well get to it now, because it's gonna persist through the whole fight. But like, it sucks how Grievous's fight style was like radically changed. And this is step one towards getting to Star Wars the Clone Wars, the 2008 show.
Yeah.
Because we get very much. He immediately pulls out all 4 lightsabers. He immediately does some a very gimmicky, spinning around, and then when he gets close enough, he doesn't even keep spinning. He just engages the lightsabers one by one, and does like very slow, almost what's it called? Like what's the word? I guess like what's the not choreographed? You can see it coming. Like he's
Yeah, he
not making the
telegraphs
most
his moves.
Telegraphs, yes.
Yeah, he telegraphs all of his moves. Yeah, I feel this is another part where they gimp Grievous. They should have had. Okay, so if I were to rewrite this fight scene, Obi-Wan would be using the droids around him, and he would be using the Force to his advantage. He would put the droids between him and Grievous, and he would make Grievous destroy droids and shit like that. And he would be using the Force to throw things at Grievous. The fact that Obi-Wan like closes on him with his lightsabers is insane. It is insane.
The way the movie does it, I agree. The way that the book does it, I totally disagree. But that's
exactly the book, and I've read the fight scene in the book. I haven't read the book, but I've read the fight scene in the book. The book does it so much better.
The book does it
so much better.
It's actually shocking how much better. Yeah. Well, yeah. Like it's insane. Because like it also helps explain like why the hell did they choose Obi-Wan? Like when this is probably the worst time to choose Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the book just does this fight scene so much more justice, and it again just makes Grievous feel not great. They really gimped Grievous because I mean from what we've seen, from what we are seeing, what your eyes tell you is that Grievous
way possible. Like
they could have done a lot with that fight scene. They could have done a lot with that fight scene and the Force, and they just really didn't.
Not only that, like you could have had him even use his stubs after that. Like he just like doesn't get to do anything with that. Or like when he's fighting him later on, when it's just hand to hand, like you can't do like anything with those 2 stubs. Like you're already punching, like you're in the mighty words of Baki, when you don't have a hand, you actually get to punch better. because then you don't have the useless Sith to get in the way. And because it's Baki, it's of course true. Baki is very
Agree, and
real.
this is the worst podcast.
Worst podcast ever.
So
But yeah, I mean, like when you just have a metal stump, you can still bash someone's face in with that. Still totally able to bash someone's face in with a metal stump.
I was here a little bit as I was getting what I had to get done. So something I want to bring up is they should have just had multiple Jedi here. That solves the problem.
Yeah. I mean, there's a million different things they could have done to make this fight scene better. And the thing is, it's still a good fight scene. I still think it's a pretty like entertaining fight scene visually to watch. It just could have been way better. Way better.
Have clothes with swords if you can't have the Jedi here because you don't want Anakin involved.
Yeah. There's a lot of things they could have done, and it's just sad that they didn't, and they did my boy Grievous dirty. I do love it's very Obi-Wan to jump in and just say hello there. I really like that. This is a good one.
Yeah.
The end of the fight scene, I like that a little bit. The whole Grievous like advancing on him while he's at the edge and he's got him, and then he pulls the gun, and he uses the gun at the very last moment to save his life, last resort. I think that was a pretty good payoff for that. And of course, Grievous catching fire on the inside and his head exploding. Great ending. Great ending.
Fortunately, that scene happens later. We get interrupted in between the two scenes.
yeah, we do get interrupted because then we get Cody being to the rest of the council. He's like, oh yeah, by the way, Obi-Wan's doing this. Like, anyways.
Yep.
Which is also where Ahsoka Tano apparently was on like 5 seconds beforehand because, sure, why not, Dave? Why the hell not?
Thank you, Dave, for ruining everything.
Like, just clap it. Like, I don't know what to say.
The chase scene is cool. I love Grievous's
we're not there yet, but yes.
Bike,
thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And Obi-Wan's yip creature, whatever the hell it is. I love that thing too.
The awesome lizard lady. Yeah.
When I was a kid, seeing that thing fall to its death, I was like, no,
I love that thing so much that in my setting where I have the halflings, that is the mount that they have, those lizard things that look just like that.
Yeah, that's great.
I love
it's awesome things. It's awesome that they're lizards, but they also have like this beak.
Yeah, like the beak like fur. Really cool. Stuff. It's great. Yeah. They're great. I love the things. So at this point, after Cody radios in, Anakin shows up and tells Palpatine, "Hey, we're kicking Grievous's butt." And Anakin, I should be there. And Palpatine's like, not only should you be there, but you should join me. By the way, I'm the Emperor. Ha 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 ha. You want to kiss now?
Yeah, and to his credit, Anakin, when this is revealed to him, is like, "Oh, well, I mean, bro, I gotta turn you in."
Well, no, that's not what he says. He's like immediately like, "Oh, I'm just gonna kill you," and then Palpatine does the classic thing. He's like, "Yeah, you would like to do that, wouldn't you?" And then he's like, "Dang, you got me in a box here."
Yeah, you really do got me.
Anakin makes a plan, which to be his credit is a good plan. Hey, I should arrest him, and then we could have him tell me how to save my wife, and he gets to go away. It's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
So he runs back.
It's not exactly that. It's a little. It's because he does still have like the council has not been very nice to him. So he doesn't exactly say, I'm going to go back and we're going to get secrets from him. He's more like, I'm going to go back and then I'll decide later which one of you I actually want to help. Because you guys, like, now that we're having a serious discussion, because now I don't like you. But I also still don't like them because they're still being massive jerks to me. So, like, I haven't decided yet, but this is a major negative in your court.
All right, so this is where it's going to get fun because with the deleted scenes, it gets very confusing. So the next scene is Anakin. If the deleted scenes were kept in, would be Anakin tells Mace what's happening, even though this happens a little bit later on in the actual movie.
Okay, I was just going to say that literally happens in the movie.
No, because it goes from here. We go back to Obi-Wan on the bike, then we go to Anakin telling them. The Anakin scene's moved up once, where Anakin tells them. Then we go back to Obi-Wan on the bike, where he's on the thing. This is when he kills Grievous. The next scene that was supposed to pop out, I know why they changed this continuity around, was Mace was supposed to call Yoda on Kashyyyk and say, I'm going to go arrest Palpatine. Then at this point, Anakin, and this is when Palpatine gets up, Windu gets to the ship and gets ready to sail over. Then we cut back to the Senate, where Padme and the senators present Palpatine their petition of the 2000s saying, hey, you should step down after the war. And Palpatine's like, look, man, I think it's a great idea. We should talk about it tomorrow, present it in front of everybody. I think that I want to give these powers, but we have to wait till Grievous is dead. And once Grievous is dead, I'll give up powers. Don't worry, buddies. I promise. And then we cut to Windu kicking in the door, but like, what surprise, MFA? Yeah. Which is funny because that means that it would have gone from, we cut from, oh my God, he's evil, to Padme's talking to him about politics, to now we're here to arrest you. So I know why that scene was cut.
Yeah.
And they let Anakin know that Obi-Wan has killed Grievous, and now they're going to arrest Palpatine. And then Anakin's like, well, he's a Sith. And they're like, oh, well, snap, he's a Sith. We're going to have to go kick his teeth in. Then we're supposed to get a scene when, right before Windu opens the door, but after he flies in. This is called the Udupa windmill scene. I don't know what that is, I'm going to be honest. So I'm sorry. I don't know what the Udupa windmill scene is.
Yeah.
And Anakin sits in the council chambers moping around like, dang it, Windu told me I'm not cool enough to go arrest my friend. Because Windu just makes the worst choices in this movie. Because Windu, I think, is a sassy bitch. I think he specifically is jealous of Anakin being the chosen one, and he's taking it on him at this point, which is letting his own emotions get in the way.
I disagree. This is the one time where, like, he kind of has a point, because he's like, Anakin, you're clearly torn up about this. Like, I don't know what's up with you, but, like, you are not, like, you're not in the right headspace, my guy. You hang out, this will take like 20 minutes. The thing that he does say that is like very stupid is he says, if this is true, if this is correct, then you'll have my trust. It's like, you didn't trust me? Like, what the hell, dude?
I'm saying, that comment, regardless of what you feel before, that comment right there flames everything as Windu just didn't like Anakin and didn't trust him.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, he's been very explicit about that, but yeah, like, saying it to...
No, and it wasn't just... Anakin beforehand could view it as, well, Wendu's just a hard ass, and it's just business, and he wants what's right for me. This moment, and Anakin's like, bro, really? Like, you thought that low of me?
Yeah. Like, he is, like... He is right, but, like, leave out the part where you don't trust him. Like, I get that, like, he's not in the right headspace, like, thumbs up. Like, that's a good explanation. And then he, like, adds into the end. By the way, I don't trust you right now. Why? What are you thinking, my man? Like, this is not...
That's what I'm saying.
Like...
That's what I'm saying. That's why I think it goes from, understandable to Wendu's pettiness got in the way.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
All right, now we finally caught up. Gigi, you want to Nebula? You want to tell us about how cool this scene was in Lego Star Wars with the Udupa fight? Now that we finally caught up to Grievous being dead and such.
Oh, Grievous isn't dead. Now we're.
Well, he gets killed at this point.
Yeah. Yes, he does get killed. Honestly, they didn't really do I don't remember a crazy like fight. It was pretty basic.
It was a pretty mid fight. He jumps on platforms.
Yeah, it was like the most mid fight in the game. It was.
Are we talking about the Emperor Yoda fight?
No,
we're not there yet.
We are back to the Grievous.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, Grievous. We're back to that because we're talking about the Lego version where Obi-Wan does lightsaber. Grievous also has all his lightsabers, and Cody is here to be literally useless because he has a gun and there are 4 lightsabers. So you are not making it. You are not that guy. Like, if you're player 2, like, sucks to suck, but you're not doing anything this round.
Yep.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was very much.
But I do think there's a
Not
very cool
much
fight
of
in the
a
movie where like they're fighting hand to hand, and then he has to shoot him
Mhm.
and stuff, and they have the Magna Guard pull that they use for a lot of that fight, and also just like running through and seeing.
Yeah, the fight scene when they're on the
the
platform
whole
is the best part. Sure.
Well, not
Yeah,
only the
that's the
platform,
only
but like
part of the Lego, and they made it really not
yeah, no, they
interesting.
take away like
Because
Lego.
it's not even you stay on one platform and you just fight him. No, he runs to other platforms and you have to
Yeah.
follow him.
there's like
Yeah,
there's like
annoying.
yeah, but like it's also cool that like before the
It's
fight
the
scene on
most
the
like this
platform
is
where
definitely a fight.
yeah.
It's the most arcadey fight.
Yeah. It's also one of the I don't know why, but I feel like the prequels especially were like they had too many parts where it's one character splitting up, so they're like player 2 will be useless, by the way, and you're gonna have to um but back to the movie. It is cool also seeing like them just like run through the city and like all the background stuff with
Yeah, it's a pretty good chase scene as far as they go. It's a pretty good chase scene, and it's an unconventional chase scene, which is what I like best. I've recently grown very tired of chase scenes. Maybe it's because I've been watching a lot of like 70s and 80s movies where they were just like, every movie needs a car chase. Every movie, it all needs car chases. Which it's just started to irritate me seeing like the same thing over and over and over again with car chases. But I think the fact that they did this nice kind of unconventional car chase where Grievous has this thing that goes from legs to a motorcycle type deal, and Obi-Wan is chasing him with this Yip Yip monster, which is very neat. I think it's a very good chase scene. He's jumping on walls and on the ceiling and on the ground. Very cool. Has good stakes in it. Feels very good. It's a good chase scene, and it doesn't overstay its
Say
welcome.
on that subject, the backgrounds of this scene are the best. All the cool stuff that the clones are doing in the background. Oh, you
Yeah.
just spend hours seeing it. There's clones fist fighting dudes. It's awesome. There's a guy shadow boxing. It's one of my favorite things to show to people.
yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah, good stuff. And he stops off and gets his lightsaber from Commander Cody or whoever the hell that is.
It's Cody.
That is Cody.
Yeah.
That doesn't
Who
actually
just
happen yet. That doesn't
just
happen yet.
oh yeah, it happens after he kills Grievous. Very convenient.
Well, not
that he's
only does it, it also happens during the Order 66 scene. I think it might open
Order
the Order
66.
66.
Yeah, it happens seconds before Order 66. Very convenient.
Yes.
Very convenient. The whole thing extremely convenient. It just falls to that platform, and
Yes.
Cody's like, "Oh, what's this? Oh,
Yes.
oh, this is gonna be useful. I'll keep that in my pocket."
Well, I just say that to be like we're skipping to like the Order 66 scene, which like there's a few things in between that.
Skipping there. Pag was just mentioning that for later.
Yeah.
Well, I hate Peg, so how about that? Have you considered that?
Fair enough. I am
So,
very hateable.
Speaking of things that we hate, here's my least favorite scene in the movie: the confrontation in the Senate chambers. I hate this scene. Where they're like, Emperor Palpatine, you're under
You
arrest.
hate this scene?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So
The
book
opening
does it a lot
is
better,
so annoying.
which is
they just
the-
stand there
the
like,
opening
"Oh, we're
is
going to
brilliant.
arrest you." Oh no, we're all dead. When do help? I hate it so much.
This is one of those things where later on we get one of those where it's a fight scene that goes from really, really bad to really, really cool, just like that, just
yes,
real quick.
Exactly.
And again, I think
Yeah,
the
like
book does a better job with this fight.
So,
scene.
Peg, you actually read the book?
No,
He
I
read
didn't read the
parts of
book. I've read specific fight scenes from the book because a long time ago someone specifically told me the fight scenes, like these fight scenes, are very good in the book.
Yes,
and
the
not
book
good in
is
the
so much better, especially with the fight scenes.
especially this one because it helps explain so much better what the hell what did he tell the Senate, like the fight scene that like explains perfectly like, oh, this is how he sold the Senate that he's like that he was attacked by the Jedi. Because in the movie, it's like they go over it it's like Padme gets there late to the meeting. So you get like the last third. And it's like, how did he explain and prove this? And like the book explains is like, this is in detail how it happened.
Does the Senate not know about the Sith?
They do.
They have to, right?
He doesn't, they don't know that he, they don't know that he, Well, actually,
how-
they don't. They think Dooku's a Jedi that's just rogue, which is different than Sith.
And how? Okay, so yeah, if they don't know about the Sith, then this makes a lot more sense. The Emperor reveals that he's a
They
Jedi.
don't know that the Sith. They don't know that.
Reveals he's a Jedi,
Yeah, they
though.
don't know
He
that the
doesn't.
Emperor's a Jedi.
He
Yeah,
doesn't.
yeah, he
How
doesn't
does-
realize he's a Jedi. No.
How do they think
So
that he
they-
survived being attacked by all these Jedi then?
The book goes into
Is-
that. The book shows
they
that it was
think- yeah.
edited. The book shows that Palpatine put on an edited video. Does you want to go to the
Well,
Where
actually-
Annie kills everybody.
Better than that, there's no video. Actually, they only hear the sound. I think it was.
Yeah, that's
I
what
see.
the sound. He had. He
Because
removed the visuals.
there's no video. Yeah, so there's no visual, so all they hear is them come in, and then they hear the lightsaber, which is his lightsaber, which is how they explain.
And they say that's Lord Vader protecting him.
Yeah, and well, part of that too is that it's actually his lightsaber coming out from the head of one of his statues, which is how they explain how 2 or 3 of them die immediately because they don't want to go with the thing of like, oh, these masters on the council actually just got slashed by Palpatine because they're sitting around.
Yeah, it's so bad it is so bad in the movies, and I don't know how they would have made it better in the movies other than not having him confront him with 4 dudes.
They
But,
do it the way they do in the book. They have it
Yeah,
come
the
out
book- the
from
book does it.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
as he's sitting
a,
there,
a surprise attack from a statue, which is how they do it in the book.
they instead of doing the autistic spin, it just comes out of nowhere, cuts one of them in half, and then he just immediately cuts the other guy in half.
It's
and
a
an actual
couple. And
fight.
I don't know if it's one or it might have been a couple. I don't know if
No,
it
I
was
think when
just
the
one.
lightsaber showed up, he cut a guy on the way over to him, and then he quickly
It
ran
cuts
in and
at
killed
least
one.
one.
And then
It
he has an
cuts at
actual
least
fight
one.
with, I think it's
Yeah.
Fisto and Wendu for a little bit. And it shows Palpatine's skill that he's having a fight with 2 of them. Then he domes
Fisto might last. Yeah, I think Fisto might last a bit longer, but I think it kills 1 or 2 when just
'cause
taking it
he
out.
pulls the saber out and Kolar gets cut, I believe. And then he dives into Stacey 10 and Stacey turns around thinking they're being ambushed in the back.
I think it's
Okay,
important to
wow.
note for posterity here that Fisto was my dad's nickname in high school.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, no. If they had just done that, would have been a lot better. If there would have been the
Dude.
element of surprise instead of Palpatine just being like, yeah, and leaping.
Lamb. Whoa, 1 second. Lamb. That is one of the first books I got on Audible. It's such a good audiobook. It's
Oh my
such
God, it's
a
so
good
good.
audiobook.
The production value is
Oh
through the
my God.
roof.
It's so, like
It's even got
all
the
of-
music, man.
all of the Star Wars audiobooks, top tier production value because they can use the music and it's like, oh
Not
my
just can
god.
they use the music. It's one of those things they
And the
have
sound
enough
effects.
money. They have the money to say
Yes.
this is going to make its money back, so we can afford to do it.
Mhm.
They go all out on those. Even like the worst that will happen is that there's like a female character and then the male guy has to do some funny voice for like Leia or something. That's
That
the
happens
worst
in
you're gonna get
audiobooks
out of these
normally
audiobooks.
anyway. So like you're used to that if you're into
Yeah.
audiobooks.
Yeah, that's the worst that you'll see. But like, oh, it's so good.
Was so if Fisto was Palpatine's right arm, was Fingaro his left arm?
Okay.
Anyway, or maybe Spanko. That might have been a better one. Anyway, so yeah, so
It's such a good book.
the opening seconds of this fight scene, not great. Not great.
The
They're bad.
worst scenes in the movie that are not talking.
Yeah, straight up bad. And then we get into the Mace Windu Emperor fight, and it's great. It is a great fight scene. Yeah, it's such a good fight scene. Yeah. And there's not really much to comment on, really, in the fight scene between them. It's just a really good fight scene. It's very well choreographed.
The one thing I want to comment on is that Palpatine is doing the exact same thing he did during the Dooku fight. He's still making the faces getting into it.
Yeah, he's having such a good
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
He's like, I love killing.
yeah.
That's awesome.
And then he really when Anakin comes up, he gets disarmed. And Windu, I love the turnaround on this. Where
He's too
Windu
dangerous to be
is
kept
now
alive.
what now?
Yeah,
Anakin.
He's too dangerous to be kept alive.
Yeah. I love the turnaround there where before Windu was like, nah, you should have kept Dooku alive there, and now he's like, no, this dude needs to die right now, and he is right. Windu do be right about that.
I think cutting that scene when Anakin got reprimanded by Windu hurts the film slightly because that's not in there. But I think we
Yeah, I would say that'd be a
picture
good
was going
scene
to
to
have that.
include.
That's one of the few scenes that I think this needs to be here.
Yeah.
The thing that is nice is you still get Palpatine being on both sides of he's too dangerous to be kept alive.
Yes,
Which is
yeah,
still
yeah.
really nice.
And yeah, I love that, and I love the chewing the scenery of unlimited.
Yeah.
He just says it out of nowhere. I
Yeah,
love it. I love it.
No. So, I mean, we haven't gotten there yet because the first thing he says is he's like, he's too dangerous. He must die. And then he's like, no. And then he shocks himself, and like Anakin's just watching this, and then he's like, Windu's like, and then he's like, I'm too weak. I'm too weak. It's like, what are you doing? I know it's been said before, but I love the metaphor of like he couldn't stop because it's like pissing midstream. Like he just can't stop until it's over.
Yeah.
Like I do think
love
it is on purpose, but like I love the metaphor nonetheless. Like,
yeah. And yeah, the I'm just a little guy. I'm just a little. You can't. I'm just a little guy.
No, that's fine. Because he does it on both ends. Because before he's like, "See, Anakin, I told you the Jedi are taking over," and then he goes, "No," and then he does the lightning to clearly show he is not a little guy, and then he's like, "I'm too weak. I'm too weak. Help me, Anakin. Help me."
And like, I also think that being real here, that dialogue, not good, not good at all. That dialogue is pretty badly written, pretty badly delivered too. I would say that chewing the scenery generally not a good thing. However, it is so funny and it is so iconic.
It's so much fun.
I can't. Yeah, it's so much fun. I can't be upset with it, even though it like, oh my, he's chewing the scenery so bad. But I would be remiss to say that was not well written dialogue. That whole thing. I'm just a little guy.
I think is interesting. Is Obi-Wan and Windu's like, all right, I'm gonna kill him now, and Anakin's like, no, I need him. And Windu insisting, what do you mean you need him?
He's motherfucker,
like,
what?
Killing him because I had Windu said, what do you mean you need him?
Well, not only that, but I'm pretty sure.
And then shut up.
Palpatine specifically says something about like Padme or I can keep the one you want alive. Like he says that directly, and I do like how the book is like. There's a great line in the book that's like. He's like, that's weird that Palpatine's bringing up Padme during this. Anyways, because we get Windu's thoughts right before Anakin slashes his hands, and one of them is, it's like, that's a really weird thing that he just brought up Senator Padme. Anyways, like, I'm gonna kill this guy.
Yeah. Anyways, time to die. And then, of course, Anakin chops off his hand and force pushes him out the window. And Windu is definitely dead now, for sure. Definitely dead.
Coming back in the Disney Plus series, confirmed by Samuel L. Jackson.
Yep.
Definitely not. So yeah, and that's that scene. The Emperor stands up and is like, "I dub thee Lord Vader."
Well, no. It's actually better because first he goes unlimited power, and then he goes. And that's where I think the pissing metaphor especially comes in powerfully, because he does like lay back in relief after that one.
Yeah, he's like, I
what
really had to get that
vinegar
out.
Face when you come?
Yeah.
And only after he's relieved himself, then he stands up and he's like, okay, we need to kill the other Jedi, by the way. All of them.
Go kill all the children.
Yeah.
Okay.
We need
and
to go
so
kill the children.
This is where I'm like, no. He should have had the clones kill the children. The fact that Anakin does it himself is
Let's talk about him killing the Jedi. I think that Anakin going to kill the Jedi was a bit rushed. What I would have had is actually, I would have had Palpatine say, "You must go arrest the Jedi for their crimes," and then the minute Anakin leaves the room, he gets to the comms. Yeah, clones, just kill on sight. George Floyd them completely.
What are you doing, kid? You gotta kill your own chair. What was that suicide? That was worse than anything we've ever said on this cast.
Oh, is it?
No, it's not the worst thing that's ever been said, but it is up there.
I don't know about that. I feel like YouTube might get mad the most about that
I don't
one.
think so, because
They
their
might.
other bots won't detect it.
I don't know
Probably
that's
fair.
true.
But anyway, so yeah, having the Jedi resist and then Anakin fighting the Jedi. I mean I'm willing to give the Jedi a pass that Anakin goes and kills them. Jedi, the
But I
children.
think had he told them surrender or else, and then be like, "F you mean surrender or else," and they get in a fight with him, it would have made Anakin much more like entrenched in his beliefs.
Yeah, that
And
would have
like,
been
no,
better.
you know what? Screw
That would've
you
been better.
guys. I gave you a chance out.
Yeah, what I'm saying is right. What I'm saying is, my suspension of disbelief if Anakin had just straight up fought them. That's fine. Like my suspension of disbelief would have been okay from that. The fact that Anakin goes in to the younglings and the younglings like, Anakin,
Master
I love
Skywalker,
you.
what are you
I'm so
What are you gonna do?
scared. And he's like, murder, and just kills them. That is an insane face heel turn, crazy turn. That is it's entirely like disbelief breaking. It's silly at that point.
And if you were the only person, I'd say you're dumb, but I know this is a common complaint about the movie. I don't have the complaint because I was in
How
it.
do you
but
not
like,
have the complaint?
well, let me finish because again, I think the novelization does a little bit better of a job of
No,
pushing
it
Anakin
does a
at this
little
point.
bit better. It's not.
But it's like
Also-
I still think that the overall complaint is valid. You know,
I don't
it doesn't.
I don't see any
you said
way.
it takes you out of the movie. I just brush it off as you could have gotten here better. There's a difference, I think, between how much it annoys me versus you.
No,
but I do
no,
agree
no,
it's
no,
a
no.
problem.
They could not have gotten here better in this film. There is no way they would have had.
I disagree. I think they could have gone here better, because he's already killed kids. Like he killed kids in the last movie.
So he killed kids.
Yeah.
The kids of the people who killed his mother.
Yeah.
That's a little bit different. And also, I could believe that Tusken Raider children
him from getting his wife.
Yeah, in
that
some
you
sort
could've-
of like vague intellectual sense. But I don't see how that's like blood rage murder right now, kill children. Like
That's why I think it could be worked. Like you need to workshop this a
Yeah,
bit.
I think again.
No,
I think
okay,
you
so what
could
I'm saying
get
is-
here is my point, but you just
you
didn't do a
could-
good job.
I'm not
you
saying
could
it's
get
like
here.
good. I'm saying like you could workshop this a bit.
You
like, in
you
this
could get
movie.
here, not in this movie. Not in
I
this movie. I don't think if you had another hour of runtime, you could show an even further
Oh, that's
descent.
what you mean. You just don't think there's enough time. Not that it's not possible.
No, there's no. Yeah, exactly. You could get there. I mean, he blows up planets later. So like, yeah, I think that you can get there with the character eventually. But this is like 6 hours after he pledges loyalty to the Emperor. That's insane. It is crazy town that he's just
well,
like.
I mean, him pledging to part of like implicitly in pledging to the okay. Implicitly in pledging to the Emperor, or maybe it was just in the book where like it's a bit explicit that he's like, yeah, part of pledging is killing the kids. Like that's part of the contract.
But I just don't think. I just don't think that makes sense for his character. I think this is a poor writing moment. This is a broken character moment where they have broken Annie's character very bad. It is the Daenerys season 8 problem. Yes, it is a face heel turn that is too fast. You could do it.
I agree.
They did it way too fast.
Yeah, I agree. Again, my problem was the timing. When I thought you were saying you couldn't do it in this movie, I thought you meant like you weren't allowed to, not that you didn't have the time.
No.
I agree. It was too fast. Again, I think that you could easily have him get kids killed. That's not a problem. Or the clones gun them down.
Or the clones gunned them down. Yeah. If the clones gunned them down while he was watching and he didn't do anything about it, I think that would have been believable. But the fact that he personally killed these children is like,
I think you could have even done something better. Of the kids, surrender, and the clones look at him and say, Lord Vader, what should we do? And then Anakin says nothing, and a sergeant comes up and says, the Emperor's orders were to kill all of them, no prisoners. And Anakin doesn't stop it. That could still have... Could you get all of the Anakin killed these effing kids, you bastard, but without him actually having to do it?
Yeah. Yeah, or if he like turned around and walked away knowing what they were going to do,
yeah.
There's ways to make this better and still result with the children dead. There's ways to do that. But They didn't do that. And I think this is one of the like largest points in the movie that smashes down its rating. This is an
agree.
extremely poor writing moment for this movie.
Because the worst part is there's a scene later on a little bit where Bail Organa shows up because he's a good person. He's like, dude,
I was
on fire.
It's
And
funny
we
you were
have to go
saying that.
now.
When you're
scene is
saying,
great.
yeah, when you're talking about the kids dying, I'm like, I mean, like, we do see the clones do kill the kids. Like, it's not like he does all of them, but yeah,
Right,
like,
but the point is that scene implies
no,
that
no,
he
no, no,
killed
no.
all
I
of them.
agree. I agree.
By the way, the
Well,
robot chicken
not
version of this
only
is
that,
so funny.
it is also the fact that when they go to the temple, like Obi-Wan and Yoda, they're like, wow, all these kids were only killed by lightsabers. None of them were killed by clones. Like they reinforce the point that like it was only Anakin.
Yeah,
Like,
he personally
only.
killed these people.
They don't
by
say
hand.
only, but it's like, hey, this one was killed by a lightsaber. Not all of them were. I do think I want to say the robot chicken sketch of this is so funny.
Oh yeah.
Because Anakin the whole time, it's one of those recurring sketches because throughout the Star Wars Holiday Special 3, I believe, where Anakin's like, oh crap, he's instead of being like angry, he's like really stressed that everybody keeps putting all this pressure on him. So he goes in the room and he's like, Master Eddie, what do we do? And it's robot chickens and the kids' heads are flailing around and they look incredibly like cuddable. And he closes his eyes like, okay, go to your happy place. You do this for Padme. Do this for Padme. And he envisions himself in a field of sunflowers. He's like, ah. And he pulls up the lightsaber and starts cutting the sunflowers apart. And you hear the children's screams in the background as he's humming to himself. And like the sunflowers like are trying to like run away. And you see him like ripping them in half and like biting into them and stuff. And it's like tearing the sunflowers apart. And it's implying they're like, no, these are the kids. And then it's so funny because it's robot chicken, so the scene cuts away and it cuts back later on. And Padme's in her room. She's like, oh, Annie, what are you doing here? He's like, I got you some sunflowers freshly cut. I'm just gonna watch it before dinner. It's like how sweet.
Bro, that you want to know what immediately came to my mind? Fucking Pyrovision from TF2.
Yes.
Oh my god, that's
Yes,
exactly
pretty
what
much.
it's like.
No.
Isn't there another one where like where the Emperor's like, dude, what the hell? You were supposed to do that. The kids
Yes, no, that's the same one.
Yeah. We could have manipulated them. They're the next generation.
Yeah.
They were still teachable.
He's like, bro, I'm like evil, but you had some problems you gotta go work out. Go to like therapy or something. I don't know if we have therapy available.
And that also, I'm gonna say that the fact that they did throw away all that potential does seem a little bit weird too. I think that's not really a nitpick on the writing or
I agree.
a knock on the writing.
I think
but it does seem a little bit weird.
Again, this is the problem with the movie. The books do it better because they say, well, they didn't kill all the kids. They change it so they only killed the kids who were like above, like what was it, 8 deaths, I think.
I don't know. They
And
kill,
like,
The ones that had already been indoctrinated.
yeah. That's what Anakin literally says. He's like, yeah, they're too indoctrinated.
Okay.
But they're too indoctrinated.
So pretty much the only bit that we have left is the Mustafar fight, right?
Nope, we've got a lot left, actually.
That's not true. We have the entire Yoda fight. There's all Order 66, which we haven't even gotten to.
Yeah, so we'll just say Order 66 starts happening now.
Yeah. So we get Obi-Wan's first one. Lizard takes the ATE's shot. He falls into the water. He's dead. Or she's dead. Then we get I don't remember the exact order, but we get Plo Koon.
Who's dying. Obi-Wan's flown off a cliff from a blast by the All-Terrain Tactical Enforcer, the ATTE. Yeah. He and Boga survive. Oh, good. Boga survives canonically.
That's not true. Boga dies. I know Boga dies. I know the novelization specifically says Boga dies.
Yeah. Oh, don't forget the wiki is now Disney canon. So bite me.
Oh my bad. Well, I know we're going by Disney canon. I thought specifically we said.
I'm just going off the wiki here.
What are we appealing to Disney canon? What's happening here?
Yeah. Let's see. Boga survives. Yeah. Okay. On Megiddo, Kiadamundi is gunned down. I love how they name them by CC-1138 and the 21st Nova Corps. Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, it's also awesome. That's another scene where we get like these unique vehicles. That's where we see the Octadroids or whatever they're called, and like they're in one scene along with the Republic's vehicle.
Yep. So we have then it goes on Felucia. Aayla Secura is gunned down by CC-5052 and his 327th Star Corps. Plo Koon is shot down by the aggressive reconnaissance starfighters. On Seleucami, Stasi Al... Huh?
Seleucami. What's really cool about that is because you see it's like they're scouting a battlefield. So if you look, you see like a ton of broken speeders and clones and droids and all that background, which is awesome. Did you get to the Felucia one with what's her name? Shoot, I love her character.
Aayla Secura, the one who I said was gunned down by CC-5052 and the 21st Nova Corps.
The hottest of all Jedi.
Yeah,
Very
so
sad.
it's really cool because you actually see, like, there's a guy riding this weird slug thing, which is really awesome. There's the troop transport, which is very ineffective because all the troops are open to any air attack and
very poor, design. Very poor design.
There's the nice what's it called? The nice speeder bike thing that they have that shows up for again like 5 seconds. It's really cool because you actually see that Aayla Secura actually, if you like pause the scene, they're actually like looking at the CIS across from her. When they just gun her down, they are looking like cool detail.
The Jedi with the best tummy. How sad.
So true.
That reminds me, there has been a civil war on Wikipedia brewing for years over that.
We're not. Oh my god! I know what you're
talking
about. Don't talk.
Yes. There was an article that they removed now that Disney owns them about boobs, and it was Aayla Secura having a topless photo that was canonical.
Really? I didn't know about that part. I didn't know about the top. I knew about the boob part. I didn't know about the topless part.
There was a canonical topless photo of her, and that's what they used.
That's fascinating.
Well, that's sad.
So yeah, we see all the Jedi get gunned down. Yoda then
would
kills
not.
the clones
NNN, you suck. Boo.
Boo.
Boo. Anyway, go on, kid.
Order 66 happens. Obi-Wan and Obi-Wan survives, of course, throws that back, and we get to Yoda. And now this is interesting because this is something you can attest to. The Kashyyyk scene was supposed to be much more. In fact, this is where the game gets a whole bunch of cut content into it.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
The Yoda and Chewbacca team up and have a whole freaking adventure. We were supposed to see Yoda acting crazy, and the clones like, "Oh, Master, what's wrong?" And Chewbacca ambushes them and taking ATST and stuff and all that. It was supposed to be
ATRT, that would have been. Would it have been ATRT or would it have been the big one with the ATT cannon on it?
I don't know. It's a deleted scene that I'm getting a text log of that they talked about briefly. And the description is scene 121. Crazy Yoda and Chewbacca ambush a clone ATST vehicle. That's the description of the scene that they said was cut.
Why would you write it that? It's got to be ATRT then.
Yeah, probably because they didn't freaking name all the vehicles yet.
That's probably true. I didn't think about that part. Yeah, it's probably nice.
They cut it in development. This, never mind. This is not even all the deleted scenes.
Yeah.
Because we know there's another deleted scene that happens when Anakin's in the temple. We know because this deleted scene was actually reused later on. There's a scene where Anakin was, at the very least, fighting Sin Dralig, the great sword master, who's the greatest swordsman of the Jedi Order. We see the scene recreated later on in holograms when Obi-Wan and Yoda show up and look at the holograms to see what happened. That's the scene where he's got the guy by the neck and he's fighting the other one. That fight scene,
There's a longer scene of that.
There's they filmed a real scene of that. That's how they got the hologram version of it.
Right.
We were supposed to see that scene in act. It was supposed to be the temple fight was supposed to be a way bigger fight. They cut up multiple things. In fact, in the Star Wars Episode 3 video game, the fight scene that you do against Jocasta Nu and stuff, those were all supposed to be in the movie.
You fight Jocasta Nu in the game?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. You fight multiple Jedi Masters in that game.
Well, I know you fight. I know you fight multiple Jedi Masters. I knew you fought the master. What's his face? The guy you just said.
Sin Dralig. You also fight Jocasta Nu. It's very funny.
That is very funny that you fight.
And you have an absolute banger of a fight scene. And then, like I was saying, with the Lego game, this is where Yoda and Chewbacca get a whole level to themselves, right, Nebula?
Yeah.
Episode 5.
Yep.
Because they didn't have a Tarful figure, so
Nope.
Tarful doesn't get the
Tarful
join.
gets shafted as usual.
Yep.
Yep. That ends all of the canonical things that we know for sure Lucas talked about that were cutscenes, except for one at the end, which was cut. We'll get into why that one was cut, because Lucas did a whole interview on why that scene was cut. Then after Order 66 happens, Obi-Wan and Anakin get Obi-Wan and Yoda team back up. They go to the temple. They find out that the beacon was called Jedi Return. They disarm the trap and they go back.
This is a level in the Lego game as well, which they show better. Because in the movie they just show the clones like in full gear, where in the game they
Like dressed up in outfits and pretending.
yeah,
and
they're
stuff.
dressed
Very
up.
cool.
They're dressed up like the Jedi, which I think the novelization and other stuff go into. But yeah, they were dressed up like Jedi, like the people, the like Jedi coming.
Yep. And then they disarm the trap. They turn it around. Yoda's like, "I'm gonna go fight the Emperor. You go fight Anakin, and you're gonna have to kill him." And Obi-Wan is like, "But I like really don't want to do that. Like, could I not do that?" And Yoda's
He's
like,
like,
"No, you really have to do it. Like, it's
He's
gotta
like,
be you, bro."
"Can I go fight the Emperor?" It's like, dude, you're not that guy.
Yeah, you were absolutely not that guy. So go on, beat it, Squirt. And so he does. He beats it. And then there's
finds Padme and he convinces her basically to like, hey, Anakin's in trouble. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, hee hee. And he sneaks onto her ship, so she takes him there.
Yeah, he's like, Anakin messed up, and it's like, okay, like, can you like help me, find him and stop him? And it's like, oh, by the way, I know you're pregnant.
Important scene. Hang on.
What did we miss?
That didn't happen yet, because what happens is, the Separatist Council.
Oh my goodness, we did the Separatists. You're right.
Yeah.
We missed
The
the
Separatist Council is hanging out, and they're like, hey, are we gonna get some protection? And Palpatine's like, don't, I'm sending Darth Vader there, and he will give you what you deserve. And the Separatists are like, oh, this sounds completely fine. I fully believe that this is not going to end poorly for me. What I deserve? Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, no,
Anakin shows up.
Yeah, I think the exact words is, my apprentice Darth Vader will take care of you. It's like,
he'll take care of you. Yeah.
He even says it like, take.
Yeah, he says it in an evil way. Like, he's like, I'm tricking you, Mom.
Yeah. And they're like, "Aight, fam, say no more." And so Anakin does show up, and he just massacres them.
Yeah.
Pretty entertaining scene. When he massacres them.
Another fantastic level in the game. The episode 3 adaptation. Oh, great level.
There's a couple of great things. I love how, like, when he's walking down the hallway, like, immediately all the mouse droids are like, I'm out of here, guys. This is a mouse droid.
There's another cutscene from here, actually. That's right.
Oh, is there?
Mm-hmm. He's going through massacring everybody. Kicking their ass. That scene where you see that he looks in the doorway and it shuts, and you see, I think it's Wat Tambor.
Yeah.
He was actually supposed to have an actual fight scene with Wat Tambor.
Really?
Uh-huh.
What was Wat Tambor going to do?
Because Wat Tambor apparently, in the original cup, ran back and activated a whole bunch of auto turrets.
Oh.
He had. Wow. And Anakin had to fight through the auto turrets and several like droidicas. It was going to show just how powerful he became. He was able just to mog the droidicas. But they cut that because Lucas felt it was just another unnecessary fight scene. The Separatists had already lost. We don't need to go through that.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is nice also that
then we get into the special Senate session. Go ahead, Dennis.
Well, I do think there is a really neat detail where they basically very easily explain, like, it's like, okay, so all the Separatist leaders are dead, but, like, there's still all these droids across the galaxy. It's like, no, like, we had the codes, like, we just shut that down. Like, the droids, they're done. They're not an issue. They're done.
But anyway, so yeah, then Yoda shows up to confront the Emperor.
Nope. We have to do the other Senate scene that we skipped.
Oh my God! What other Senate scene? What is there?
This is where scene in Palpatine's like, there was an attempt on my life by the liberals.
Oh yeah. Palpatism gets them all to vote to make him the eternal emperor forever and ever, eternally. And there's a really good line. This is a like banger of a line.
Crushes it.
Yeah. This is how democracy dies, with thunderous applause.
Liberty. First of all, Second of
It's
all,
Liberty. Okay, yeah. Either way, I mean,
still a
second
great
of all, Palpatine doesn't do it through vote. He does it through executive order, as God intended. Okay, so
based. But anyway, so that is just a fantastic line. I wanna interject here. That I love the design of the council chamber, or not the council
Senate,
chamber,
it's
the
so
Senate
good.
chambers.
this
Very, very good design. That is peak science fiction. A million planets have to have one audience chamber, and they all have to be equally important. That is very good design. Great design. Anyway, so yeah, that happens. And then the little thingy goes down. Yeah, Palpatine crossed the Bubicon. Then finally, right, get to Yoda doing the thing with the guys with the Emperor. Yeah, we're there. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
No,
okay.
well, I mean, technically, we get the Anakin and Obi-Wan stuff first, I think, because I think.
Yeah, so the order here is all a little bit fuzzy, but
Yeah,
it
I mean,
all
we can
happens.
mix it up because a lot of it happens concurrently, and we go back and forth. So it's not the order isn't super important. But I'm just saying.
And
what's
I
happening
hate
first.
you.
That's
I'm
real.
trying to get us through this quick for you, buddy, and you're here counter signaling my fantastic opinions. Perish. Anyway, so yeah, then we get the Yoda Emperor fight. And I think it's a very good fight. I think that all of they do a little bit of lightsaber dueling, right?
Yeah.
But the better stuff is the Force stuff. They're using like they're force pushing each other. They're throwing objects at each other. It's
Talk about the symbology of the scene real quick.
sure hit it.
The fight of the scene opens as a private duel between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
And in private, Yoda looks to be beaten, but then starts kicking the crap out of Sidious.
Yeah, no, that's one of the great. Like, there's a lot of great things. Like, I love how he just walks in and immediately the two red guards, which he's already switched from. Actually, I think they're already red at the beginning of episode 3, but still, like Yoda just immediately knocks them out. He's like, oh,
Yeah,
like,
kills him instantly, no problem.
Yeah,
but,
no
but again,
problem.
I'm talking about the symbology
fun.
too. It's cool because
Right.
like you have the scene where these two guys are at the height of their power, and in private, when the war is being waged one-on-one between Jedi and Sith, the Jedi eventually will have the upper hand, no matter how beaten they are, which is canonical. It's what's supposed to happen. So what happens? Palpatine then decides, well, the Sith need to win, so they get the entire Senate involved. Literally, he's literally using the Senate as a weapon against the Jedi.
Well, the Senate chambers, but yeah.
No, the Senate seats, the senators. It's a representation.
They're not
of all
there.
that.
The senators aren't there.
Representation of them.
Symbolic.
Yeah, okay, but yeah, it's a representation, but the senators aren't physically there.
True. He's not beating them with people, but he's taking
Yeah.
the seats which represent the Senate and the planets, and that's what he's throwing against the Jedi. Literally, this is how the Sith are going to win: is they throw the entire might of the galaxy at the Jedi. That's the only way for them to win. That is such a cool cool fight that also has symbology tied into it, and a really interesting idea.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, going back to this, I really like how Yoda immediately talks smack to Palpatine, and Palpatine immediately, like, the first thing he does, he's like, "Oh, I'm leaving," and then Yoda's like, "Why are you leaving so soon?"
Yeah,
And
the hell you are.
Palpatine's response isn't like, "Yeah, I'm not worried." It's nah, Vader's gonna be more powerful than both of us. It's like, does that have anything to do with what's happening right now?
Yeah, he's like, who asked?
Yeah.
Anyway, so they have a fight, and there's a good bit of like lightsaber dueling, but then they separate, and there's a lot of force powers, which I feel is more appropriate to both of their characters using force powers.
Definitely. Which is why it's pretty great that the beginning is also force powers, where he pushes Palpatine, and Palpatine just pushes over the chair. And it's funny. They have the actual scene where the guy is in the chair and just falls over. It's like I guess you could have you need to do that.
Yeah. Good job, Yoda. You pushed over an old man.
Yeah, and then he pushes him back, and in between this, I don't remember what his Chamberlain guy is, but the Chamberlain just books it out of the room while that's happening. The blue guy.
So yeah, they have that fight. They go back and forth a little bit, but finally, Yoda ends up fleeing. you guys think it was a Yoda defeat, but I think they both kind of mutually flee from the chamber. It
No,
seems like neither of
Palpatine
them
doesn't
want to.
flee. Like
Yeah.
Palpatine was not in a good state after that Force burst thing,
Mhm.
but Yoda very clearly is like, I'm out. Yeah, Yoda
Yeah.
explicitly is like, I failed. B, he runs. C, Palpatine is immediately like, where is he? Until he like starts feeling around the Force and is like, Vader isn't doing too well. We need to get over there.
Yeah, that's more important.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we get the Mustafar fight, and some dialogue beforehand. I think a lot of people, rag on the dialogue with Obi and Padme and Annie on the landing pad. But I really don't think that it's that bad. I think that dialogue is pretty all right, actually. I think I don't really have any complaints about it. I like that. Padme, what she says really kind of does. It would lead Anakin to believe that Obi-Wan turned her against him. I mean, he did obviously do all of the things that Obi-Wan said. Obi-Wan didn't say anything untrue, but from his perspective, I can see why he would think that. And then of course, like you said, was it on the podcast when you said that that Obi was standing at the top of the loading ramp to the ship?
Like he just banged his wife.
No,
he was-
it is the
I'm just
exact
finishing your
poster.
wife. You can clean
Yeah.
up after me.
yeah, exactly. And then the fight happens. He chokes his wife, and she's like, "Oh, daddy." And then they go at it, and then starts a very large fight. AJB just said the spinny Beyblade fight in the volcano world was by far the worst fight, even if the emotional climax is fine. I don't agree with that. I think that
The Grievous fight is worse.
the Grievous fight is worse, yes. But also, the thing is that most of that fight, just like the Emperor fight, most of the fight, absolute banger. The huge platforms that are running out of energy, that are falling into the lava, and they have to run to avoid the lava. All of the stuff going around, the scenery, how mobile they are, and how they move from place to place to place. The fight doesn't get old, despite it being a very long fight. It is a very, very well done fight. But right in the middle of that fight, they have them for no reason. They have them do a spinny move, not attacking each other, like for no reason, and it looks so bad, and it just takes you out of the fight right in the middle of the fight, and they just didn't need to have that.
So this criticism comes up a lot, and I've dealt with this a lot. You're almost correct, Pag, and I want to explain why you're wrong. It's very subtle. So the reason that you're wrong isn't actually the fight.
I just want to
I'm gonna
say,
shoot you.
look at Naltharius. Look at Naltharius. I think Naltharius made a good comment. I think we should look at that comment. I think we should appreciate that comment, and then
Yes.
I think we should continue on.
He did in fact use his lightsaber in a Sarlacc pit. Go on, kid.
Go on, kid. Kill tag.
Ugh.
Kid?
Sorry, I just had to calm down before I did something stupid and killed Dez. So
I feel like that's incorrect.
yeah.
I feel like that would not be a stupid decision.
Yeah, honestly, at this point. Anyway,
So what
yeah,
happened? The reason you're wrong, Pag, is the fight's not actually dumb and too long. It's cut in with the
No,
Yoda
I didn't say it
fight.
was.
That's not what he said.
I know.
That's not what I said at all.
The reason the fight feels junky is because it's cut in with the Yoda fight.
That's not what he said.
Yeah, I didn't say it was
like
too
some
long.
of the choreography, right?
The one thing he's criticizing is the one part in the middle where they have the spin. Like it's like 3 seconds, and it's when they spin at each other.
Yeah.
So
Not saying
again.
like
I know the reason that doesn't feel right is because we keep cutting to Yoda throughout the fight scene.
No.
So you visually.
No, it's because
I
they
need
don't
to push
hit each
back.
other's lightsabers, and they're
Yeah.
like.
Yes.
That's what he's saying. Like I've heard this criticism a ton, and I just don't get like why you like. It's because they don't hit each other. They're not like engaging. Like they're doing basically a flourish where neither of their swords connect. Like,
they're like 2 feet away from each other, standing on a table, just spinning their swords at each other, and they have pulled the camera out specifically so that they can capture this moment. It is baffling. It is baffling why
Like,
they chose to do this.
So I'm trying to explain it. Because what happens is because they keep cutting away from the fight, you keep visually breaking up their fight. What's supposed to be represented by that is you see them as their fight's going on, that they are so well matched in skill that they start predicting and counter-predicting each other's moves. That's supposed to be what's being shown off there. But because we keep cutting
so
away
it's
and cutting
neat
back to them, it breaks it up visually too much. If you think there's
No.
another way you
It
can
doesn't
show
break
that,
it up visually too much. It's neat that you want to say that. It's very neat that you want to say that.
that's what Lucas said the intention all that was.
Look,
Okay,
kid,
he fucking failed. He
look,
failed.
I'm gonna be honest.
Sure.
I get that. I think the book might support that. I don't remember with this specific part, but this is a very common criticism. This is not just Pack, and it is not. I'm just saying, it's not the way that
No,
it's
it's just
cut.
Pag.
It is very specifically the way that he did it. It is very specifically that way, which 90% of people complain in the exact same way.
So, and the thing is, they have like a second later, they have the whole they're doing the force push against each other, and then they both bounce off of each other. That's great. That's fantastic. If he wanted to show it in any other way that they were evenly matched, and I think he did a great job of showing that they were evenly matched otherwise. But that 3 seconds of them just spinning at each other is so bad. It is so visually bad that it actually harms the stakes of the fight. That it makes that whole fight significantly worse. Like, that's
I don't think
how bad that is.
I don't agree it's that bad, but like
I would say it is.
I get the point Pag had. Like, I get your point. Like,
Yeah. And there's nothing that makes that bad. There's nothing. It doesn't matter that the fight is cut up between the Yoda fight or anything like that. There's nothing that those 3 seconds just should not be there. They should not be there. That's it. They just should not be there.
Like, I don't think the cutting really changes how anyone feels about that. I don't think if you put that in one. I don't think if you put the Anakin Obi-Wan fight in one long continuous thing, that the 3 like that complaint is going to change. I think
no matter where you put that.
Yeah, anyone who has that complaint is still going to have that complaint at the end. Like, I like the thing, but like
it just looks so bad. It looks so bad.
I like the whole fight. I
love the fight. I love the fight.
I agree with Kid.
Except for that.
But
that's without those 3 seconds, that is a 10 out of 10 fight. That is a perfect fight scene without those 3 seconds. With those 3 seconds in there, it's like a 6 out of 10. That's how bad it is. That is how bad that is.
I don't know about that one, but
I think so. I
definitely think it's worth taking points off. I don't know if I drop it by 4 points.
I would. It is so bad. That spinning, that 3 seconds of just spinning for no reason while they're both standing on the table, and maybe they could have shown it from some other angle and it wouldn't have looked so silly, but they chose to pull out and just show them standing there. There's no foot motion going on. They're just standing there and swinging at the air.
That is right before the force push. I thought there was more space, but no, that is directly after they. Huh.
Yeah. It's just so bad. It's so bad. I can't get over how bad that is. That's like, I might be like willing to say that is the worst moment in the whole film. And like including dialogue, I would be willing to say that may be the worst moment in the whole film. It is so bad.
Actually, looking at the scene again, I actually see what Kid means. You do see that it is like them. There is a part where, because like the beginning part of it is them slashing each other, and only later, after like a half a second, do they like do the thing, and it actually lasts a lot less than I thought. I thought it lasted like 3 seconds. It looks like it only lasts like a second.
It feels like 3 seconds. It feels like a long time.
I mean, I clearly said that it was 3 seconds, so I definitely thought it was like longer. But it is.
It looms large in the memory because it's so bad.
It is 1 second. Well, I think it looms large as well because everyone takes. It's like the memes. It's one of those scenes that has been spread around a billion trillion times, so that even if you like have seen the movie, it feels longer because you've seen it in 50 other things that was not the movie.
Yeah.
Like
I I just
not
don't
only
think there's
that,
any
like
way to justify it.
I
Like,
disagree. I think it's not as bad after looking at the scene. I definitely think probably lose a point still, but I think it's better than I originally thought, just because I thought it A lasted longer, and B I didn't see that at the beginning there is this. They are crossing like lightsabers, and while they're crossing lightsaber. Actually I think I might agree with Kid like more looking at it,
No.
just because when you put it together, I feel like because I think there was a cut directly before the.
That's what I'm saying.
I
The
think
way
there
the
is.
if you take
I
out that
think there
cut, it
is a
makes the
cut.
fight flow. It flows by
Yeah,
so much quicker. It's where that cut is placed that makes
I
that
think
thing loom
I think you.
prominently.
It
That's
doesn't.
I
It
think
what I'm
doesn't
trying to
matter
say.
where it is in the fight. It doesn't fucking
So
matter where it is in the fight.
so
It shouldn't be
I
there.
I initially disagreed. Seeing it without the cut, I actually changed my mind. Like seeing it
No,
without the
it's
cut,
silly.
it does make it like
I'm not saying
less
it looks.
like
It's
better.
way less goofy because it flows by much quicker. It only looms so prominently in your memory because we cut. That's one of the first things we see. Like we said, we have the clash. Then we see that. Then we do some other thing. We cut away. It's like, what the hell was that? That was the whole scene. But if you have the fight scene flowing along where they're fighting, smacking, it's just another one of the multiple flourishes that they have in the middle of the fight scenes. You can
No.
still think it's dumb, but I'm telling you, its potency is way lessened if they cut the thing properly.
Yeah,
No, I
it's
don't think
funny.
there's.
Before
I
I
don't.
was agreeing with Peg, after looking at it, after being generously gifted, what Kid was saying by not Kid, I agree with Kid. I think it's better if I think the editing actually makes it seem longer, which is crazy. I didn't think it would, but it did.
They might be able to edit this in such a way that
Mhm.
it like fits in a little bit better. They might be able. There might be an edit where it looks a little bit better, but there is no edit where it's not terrible. There's no edit where it's not fucking awful, and it should not be in there. It is terrible. It is an abortion of fight choreography. It is terrible. Should not be there. Like it just shouldn't be there. It just shouldn't be there. It doesn't. They should not have put that part of the fight in the fight. It is a bad part. That's all there is to it. It's bad. It's terrible. It shouldn't be there. If you want to show that they're equally matched, you need to show it in some other way. Any other way other than having them spin each
it's
other.
not that they're equally matched. I will push back because the beginning is that they're blocking each other, but then because you see a few blocks, it does become they're predicting each other's moves, and I think it's a combination of the cut and the way it's angled. I do think it is it's the editing here that really failed because it is looking at the full
It's
scene.
not the editing.
It
It's the
is.
fact that they don't touch each other's lightsabers for like a full second while they're just spinning. That's
Well,
the bad
yes, but that's not really because the whole thing is that they're already predicting each other. They're predicting each other's moves. That's the thing. Like if you're predicting, like they're seeing what they're gonna do, and then they're preemptively, going to block it, and then they change, so then they preemptively block. Like
Okay, so that's neat and all to say. That's neat and all to say. And if you're deep into the nerd lore, then yeah, you
well, no, you
understand that
can
that's
see
what's going on.
it. You
I
can
don't think
see
you
it
can
in
see
the
that. I
scene.
don't think you can see that.
Well, if
I did not see that at all.
I don't think you can see it in if you're
Exactly.
looking at the edited version. But again, I think this is where Kid is right after looking at it, without the cut, is that because there's the cut, it feels a lot longer and it feels sloppier than it actually is.
No, I think it's just sloppy. I think it's just sloppy. I think it's bad. I think it's not good. It shouldn't be there. It like if you want to show that they are predicting each other's moves, you need to do something else. You need to do something else. You can't have two characters who are a foot away from each other with swords just swinging around in the air at each other without hitting anything. It looks silly. It looks bad. It shouldn't be there. It is very bad. Very bad. It just looks terrible. Like I don't know what else to say. It looks terrible,
Well, I mean,
and
I
everyone
agree
thinks
it
it
looks
looks
terrible,
terrible
but I think it's the
because
editing.
it looks terrible.
I do think it is the editing.
I don't know how you could possibly edit it to not look so cut off.
Well, like Kid said, I think it'd be better if it wasn't part the beginning of the thing. I don't know why we're staying on this so long. I think it's better we move on. But like I do think Kid is right. If there was more in the beginning and it wasn't hard cut to this, and then I think Kid is right as well. I don't remember the scene exactly, but I think it ends like as soon as the force after the force push, it then switches back to Yoda or something else. That it would
This from the Yoda scene,
we
and this
cut
feels like
this
a really
like
weird, like why is this suddenly here? And it sticks
yeah.
in your mind that way. I promise
So
you.
even
Anyways, let's move on because we've been spending
Yeah,
way too
yeah,
much time on
one
this.
last thing though. One last thing. If it was
Uh-huh.
straight through, it still wouldn't be good. Still wouldn't be good if it was straight through. It'd still be terrible.
Okay. Sure.
Anyway, so yeah, then they fight until they do this really cool scene where they're fighting on these two floating speeders going down a river of lava. Very cool scenery, very cool choreography, very neat.
Well, it's
And
not speeder. It's actually, as we see in the opening shot of Mustafar, it's actually a lava collecting thing for whatever
yeah,
these
yeah, they're
Mustafarians are collecting.
refinery droids or something. Who cares?
Well,
Um,
one of them's a refinery droid, and the other one is just a platform for the Mustafarians to actually like put the ore stuff in.
Yeah, well, they're two platforms that are floating down this river of lava. It's very neat. Then Obi-Wan jumps off. He lands on a rock. He's like, "I've got the high ground, Anakin. Don't try it." And Anakin's like, "I'ma try it." And
Mhm.
so he, instead of leaping like onto the ground nearby, this is another part which I find pretty bad. There's like a whole beach right around Obi-Wan. It's a whole
Mhm.
beach right there. And he has several choices. He could ride the speeder away. He could just leave. He could just be like, I don't really want to fight you anymore,
Oh, I
Obi-Wan.
mean,
See you later. Obviously, he's not going to do that.
I was gonna say, obviously he's not gonna do that because he's
Yeah.
been the aggressor 90% of the fight. Like,
Yeah.
he's
So
been the
obviously,
one proactively attacking.
yeah, that's not going to happen. But it is an option. I wanted to list it as an option. He can, see you later, Obi-Wan. I don't like you anymore. He could ride the speeder down 15 feet in one direction or 15 feet in the other direction and leap onto the beach where he didn't have to leap directly over top of Obi-Wan. He could have leapt diagonally from Obi-Wan. But instead, what he decides to do is leap directly over top Obi-Wan. It's just like let me just make myself as vulnerable as I possibly can. Leap in a ballistic arc directly over top of Obi-Wan so that he can chop all of my limbs off like the big stupid idiot I am.
I'm
So
pretty
he
sure,
does
by
that.
the way, there was also room for him to land like a bit in front of Obi-Wan and still not in lava. Like there's plenty of room
Yes.
in between them.
Yep. Could have done that.
Uh,
So he had a lot of options,
oh,
and he
also,
chose the worst one possible.
yeah. Also, fun fact: MythBusters decided to bust that myth.
Which one?
The I have the high ground.
Oh.
High
How do you
ground was
bust-
worse. They gave one person high ground and the other person not high ground. The person with not high ground won more consistently. In
I don't
that
know.
fight.
I don't know how that makes any sense.
Well, here's the thing. With lightsabers, it doesn't really matter where you hit. If you tap someone's leg, they lose the leg. Which
I
gives
guess
them
that's
a
true,
massive
yeah.
disadvantage in the fight.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And
less
there's a
guard
lot,
that way.
and it's a lot harder to guard your legs and swing when you're having to aim down, which is also bad because you have to reach further to hit your target.
NNN says ego's a powerful thing. He wanted a kill shot, and I would be okay with that if it looked like he was swinging his lightsaber in the scene. It just looks like he just leaps over him.
Yeah,
he doesn't appear to actually be attacking in that.
He was just like, "Watch this," and died.
So AJB, there's two things I want to say. First of all, I mean, I'm not denying that like the editing is bad. My point is that it's not as much the scene, it's the editing, which of course is the detriment of the movie. I'm just placing the blame differently and saying it could work. I'm not saying that it's like just very quickly. I don't want to reiterate this. I just don't want I do want to reiterate it is an issue. But for the Star Wars video, it is very funny that in the Star Wars Episode 3 tie-in game, that it's like, oh, you like the Emperor just shows up And then Anakin kills him instantly. It's like, you didn't want to learn anything? Like, okay, I guess. And then like all the clone troopers immediately are like, yeah, I'm okay with this. And it's like, okay, I guess. Like, whatever.
By the way,
It's funny too, because it's when like Palpatine has his red lightsaber for him, and that's how he kills him. He like does a trick with it and then stabs the Emperor. Like, really? Like, okay.
other content creators have also disproven the high ground, and it's also just something that they made up. It's
Isn't
literally
it in the books? Isn't that a thing? Isn't it like a
no,
like a philosophical
like even
thing
if it's
books?
in the
Well,
books, it's still not
I
something
mean-
in sword fighting.
I mean, generally, if you're attacking, you do want to, or defending, you do want to have the high ground. I don't know about.
Well, that's in like war stuff, not in one-on-one fights.
Yeah, well, I don't.
And
like
the reason you want that in war stuff is because it makes the enemy have to work harder to get to you, and you have a lot, and your arrows go further from you being up higher. In one-on-one fights, you want to, if you have high ground, you need to reach further to reach your opponent because you need to reach downwards, which is just harder to do than reaching upwards. In terms
Yeah,
of
but there's
distance.
probably some leverage. There's probably some bonus leverage that you get.
I think
when you
there's
shot
some.
that.
No.
Multiple sword fighting people have all done it, have all been like, yeah, no, that's just bullshit in a 1v1.
Anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much the end of the film. Of course, we have the Padme dying because she doesn't want to keep living.
Different.
Also, surprise twins in this era of medical technology? Question mark.
Well, I don't know if she went to. I'm pretty sure she didn't get that checked out. Like,
Yeah, there was no OBGYN visits.
well, it's more like if she goes to the OBGYN, it turns out space. What's some tabloid news thing? Space whatever the tabloid news would be like. Huh, that's really odd that this single senator who doesn't have a husband is pregnant. That's very interesting. Let's look at her friends list.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. Let's see what's up with this.
Yeah, let's see what's up with it. Maybe that wouldn't be maybe that wouldn't be a great idea. Like, to be
Yep.
fair, I don't think she really got that one checked out. So that was
Fair enough.
That's a surprise that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm willing to just hand wave that. It's like, yeah, whatever. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
And then yes, of course, NNN, the big no. Big like. Oh yeah.
Yeah, the book, and I know it's other future stuff has definitely gone into it more, but it's actually written and implied by a lot of media that that's not actually what happened. That's what the robot thought, because that's what the robot could figure out, because it's a dumb robot. What actually happened was Palpatine was siphoning her life force.
I've heard that. I've heard that so many times, and I don't remember any book references to that. I'll be honest. I've heard that so many
Same
times.
here, that's what I'm saying. Like,
And-
I don't have the reference in front of me, but I've heard it a lot.
I remember I distinctly remember going through episode 3, the novelization, and I heard a billion times that it was in that, and then I listened to the audiobook, and I do not remember that being implied even slightly. And I was like, that's weird. I thought there were like, I could be wrong. It's been a while since I listened to the audiobook and like read the book, but like
I trust you.
I swear that like I've heard that from that book, and then I actually read it, and it's like, this is not in it. Like, what are we like? Why do people keep on talking about this? This is not in this piece of media. But
yeah, and if that is the
what's
case,
very
it's
odd-
not even like slightly touched upon by
Yeah.
the movie.
Well,
Even
it's A, not touched upon at all in the movie, and then B, I'm pretty sure even in the book it's not touched upon even slightly. But like,
And the funny thing is, I don't actually
every
think that
Star
this
Wars
needs.
YouTuber or like Star Wars, fan of whatever will tell you like they got it from God himself that is what happened. And I don't know where it came from. I really don't.
I don't even really think that it needs to be a thing. You know, like I think that the explanation of her like losing the will to live is perfectly fine.
To be
I
honest, after reading more about history, like people very much undersell like the will to live thing. Like that is
that shit happens. Yeah.
yeah, like that is like more than enough. Like you really don't.
Yeah. And thematically for the story, it's perfectly fine. I think that's perfectly fine. I think if people commonly complain about that, I really don't think that's.
It is a major complaint to the
It's
point
one of
where
RLM's major complaints that they champion.
Yeah,
yes.
I think that's a silly complaint. That one's definitely a nitpick. Like people do lose the will to live and perish. That people do die of heartbreak. I mean, her husband just tried to murder her, and then she thinks he died. That's like it happens,
My
you know?
grandma died of heartbreak after what my
Yeah.
grandpa did to her. Like,
Yeah,
it was horrific.
like there's a lot of cases of like someone dying
Mhm.
and then like 5 seconds after like loved one.
Yeah. So
like,
I don't know.
like,
I don't think that.
I don't want to get into it.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, so
Yeah,
Lamb
I
says he
think that.
listened to it like a week ago. It's not there. I don't know where it came. I really don't. But I like it. Like I know what you're talking about, kid. It is talked about
yeah,
everywhere.
that's why I said like I don't know where the reference is, but I know it gets brought
I
up. And I
have
wanted to bring it
no
up because I know it gets brought up.
I
Yeah.
don't know who like started it, but it does get brought up a ton.
Yeah, that's why I wanted
Yeah.
to bring it up here because I'm like, well, I don't have the source or the reference, but if we don't bring it up, I'm gonna people are gonna get mad at me in the comments.
People will, yeah, you're
Mhm.
right. You're right. Because that
Like,
Yeah,
I just
I
wanted
think.
to mention it because I'm like, I don't know what it's from. I don't
Mhm.
remember if it was in the books, but like I keep hearing it. I've been told it my whole life, and like I guess it works fine. It's just like like you said,
Yeah.
I never thought it was needed anyway either. But if I
Yeah.
had to pick one, like that's fine, I guess. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I mean, sure. It makes me feel like how far exactly do force powers work? He can just do that? Like what? But
We'll say
yeah,
though, like
whatever.
response to like I like no one ever brought this up. Like this is like it's the biggest criticisms of this movie are like the spinning scene, Padme dying,
So if your bluff has blinded you speech, that gets brought up all the time by people.
Yeah, that one's really bad too. That's a really bad
Yeah, which
piece
that's
of
completely
dialogue.
fair. Be like,
I don't know if that's in
Catherine,
like
shut up.
top 3 of issues that are brought up,
It
but
is, dude. Because they say this dialogue sucks, bro. The love has blinded you. That's the only thing they say when they say the dialogue sucks. Well, they have some other clunky dialogue like that. We had this argument in my server a week ago about this with I think Titan. He's like the dialogue sucks. I'm like the dialogue doesn't suck. There's 3 things that suck. Most of the
Yeah.
dialogue is a banger dialogue. Everything that's in the opening scene with Dooku is just the best dialogue.
Yeah, like every other thing
it does
that they
count,
do bad in this movie, they do it bad in a few select places. And I mean, yeah, that's really bad. Like that's really bad dialogue. But it's like one place. Yeah, it's most of the movie is pretty good.
Yep.
So
Anyway,
yeah, that's episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. I think we covered everything.
We have
Oh.
a little bit more.
I know
Oh.
there's at very least one deleted scene that kid has been edging us for, so I'm very excited to hear that.
Done. So now we have the It's gonna start a fist fight.
Are we
Yeah,
talking
when I
about
get to
Qui-Gon?
this. No. So the next
Oh.
scene, Qui-Gon's on this movie. He's mentioned.
Well,
he's mentioned. He's not in it.
I'm talking about his mentioning. Like,
No, that's not the cause of the fist fight. So we're not going to get into that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
what happens
oh,
is
we're not getting into that. Okay.
well, not the way you're thinking. Shut up and let me talk.
Okay.
So the next we have the endings of the film, and I say endings plural because this is
Wait, guys. We have Queen
God.
Natalie Portman in the chat.
true Star Wars fan. This is true, Natalie Portman. So
We
we're
have
actually getting
the
we're actually getting to an important scene for you, Miss Natalie Portman. So this is we're at her funeral scene where it shows her death and the tragedy here, and then we get to see the 2 children's lives being moved on with. We see Anakin and Luke on Tatooine with Anakin's step sibling, and his step sibling, his aunt and uncle, and then we also get to see
Bale's
Padme-
like, oh man, I
Yeah.
can't wait to take this daughter. We always
Bale's
wanted
like,
one.
look, wife, I brought you a daughter. And she's like, excellent.
She's like,
we'll
I
get
always
this for
wanted
many
this. How did
years.
you know?
Yes. And then here is the part where this deleted scene. I'm going to say this because this is fascinating. This scene was cut by, as Lucas said, we cut this scene because there were too many endings in this movie. The focus needs to be on the main characters. Padme's funeral, Vader falling to the dark side with witnessing the rise of the Empire, Leia going to Alderaan, Obi-Wan and Luke going to Tatooine. I do not want to have a situation where we had complaints of too many endings, which it was a complaint for a movie that came
They
out the year
listened to
before.
Lord of the Rings. Yeah,
the
they
year
complained
before
Lord of the
is when
Rings.
the Return of the King came out. So this is where the scene where we had a whole scene which is like I think 3 or 4 minutes long, where oh my god, not Alfarius, no.
Donald
Where
Fairies, do
Yoda
not get
lands
me
on
started.
Dagobah, and he begins. You see Yoda building his structure while he's talking and monologuing to himself, or possibly recording something. We're not, people have seen the scenes, but we don't know about it entirely. Where he's explaining basically what's going on. It was like, I owe my pet. This is the penance for me failing to defeat Sidious, and until I am able to defeat him or bring about his death, I'm not going to be able to leave here. I'll simply hide here until the next Jedi is trained. So
I don't
yeah.
think that's necessary. I think that can be cut.
Yeah, I think the movie ends pretty well where it does. I think the
I
ending is
just
fine.
let you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these are some extra
The
scenes.
only thing that I feel like is a bit obligatory is like them looking at the Death Star. Like if they had been, I don't know if I like that. Like I don't know. Like if it was, I don't know what else you would do for that. Like maybe just not the Death Star. Like I don't know why, but like the fact that they look over the Death Star feels a bit like, especially since Tarkin's just right next to them as well. Like you
Yeah,
see,
it's like, is this really necessary? Do we really need
yeah.
this?
This is also another part where like we only have Venators and we have only V-Wings because now the V-Wings sound like TIE fighters and it's like, okay,
Mhm.
like
Um,
you
The
have
video
other
game came
Republic.
out 2 weeks before the
Don't lie
movie
to
did,
me.
so
I guess one last thing before we finish off. I would tie my balls to a rocket and fire it into a broken glass factory just to have one tongue punch of Natalie Portman's dirty, unwashed chili ring.
Why would you say that while Queen Natalie Portman and True Star Wars fan is in the chat?
Look, I just wanted to. Maybe I'll have a chance. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I just, she's in the chat. I just wanted to know. That's my level of dedication.
It's not that the Death Star is taking 20 years to build. It's the fact that we're doing this like at the end of the movie and it feels like 5 seconds after like
It feels a little gratuitous, and it's like it's a member berries thing.
it's gratuitous and it's like okay, like the war just ended, like we're already starting this giant secret project where like we already have the outline like completely done. Like it's not even like they have a quarter done, like they have the entire outline done for like the giant, like you know what I mean? Like we're in a circular shape. Like it's not like we're
Yeah, you're
halfway.
not building the guts right now. It's almost
Yeah,
done.
we're not building
It's
the
almost
guts.
there.
We have like the entire outside done. It's like okay, I guess. Like not the plating, but like the skeleton, I guess, is the word for it.
Yeah.
And it's like this feels like the ending happened yesterday. Like this doesn't. It's not like we're in Star Destroyers or we have TIE fighters yet, and it's like okay, we already have the skeleton. Like okay, whatever.
I would not Alfarius. I would wear Natalie Portman as a hat, and I would make her feel my force.
I would send my proton torpedo into her exhaust port. That is correct. Yes.
Anyway, do you have anything else?
I have all my weapons currently unloaded, so I can't end myself rightly. So yeah, I think we have
I
to end
like how
both,
the ending.
personally.
The only thing I'd say is I do like how the ending is Obi-Wan giving Luke to
Owen.
Andrew and Owen, and they look at the sunset. It's a nice, it's like poetry. It rhymes.
It is indeed like poetry. It rhymes. Anyway, so go read my book in Royal Road. Go check it out.
You have a book?
I do. In fact, I have multiple books. The one on Royal Road is free. It's free. Go check it out. Chapter by chapter, 3 per week for right now. Yeah, it's pretty entertaining. I think it's fun. It's a Melvin book. It's action comedy. Check it out. Science fiction. Also, subscribe to The Amazing Astronaut.
You can't say that. You can't
By
say
the way,
that.
Why would I not?
Luminara and Barris were supposed to be killed in the movie. That was another deleted scene.
Oh, really?
Quinlan Voss and Mina Poda were also supposed to die in Order 66. Shakti was also supposed to be killed in the Jedi Temple, by Anakin when he
Yeah.
shows up to kill them there.
Yeah.
Real quick, I'm guessing no HD2 today.
It's a little bit late. I'm sorry, buddy.
Yep.
We ended up going, and I tried to speed it up, but it didn't.
Yeah.
It did not happen.
Also, look up Tokyo Frenzy. He is a man who very much looks like a woman, and
Why was he so in that? Okay.
it just is what it is. What do you want? It is what it is. Look,
Oh,
that's a femboy, British femboy. So look it up. Yeah. I haven't actually watched the music video, but supposedly it's good.
It is. I will say, by the way, there is Lucas was asked about the Death Star theme. I forgot to mention this because it's funny. They asked him, well, it's a stretch that it took 20 years to build the first one, and it only took him 2 to build the second one. What happened? And Lucas said, oh, well, that's easy. And he's like, really? He's like, yeah, we talk about this in the, and he's like, it's because of union disputes, because Palpatine had to deal with the unions. That's why it took 19
Are you
years.
bullcrapping me?
I am dead serious. This is Lucas
Dude,
has said this.
So funny.
They're supposed to be they're slave labor. What do you mean the
but
union?
it's the first Death Star. That's why it took so long, because union disputes. And then after the second one wasn't so long, because at the second one he had all the slaves he wanted.
Yeah. By the time he was second one, he was like, all right.
Whatever.
It's kind of funny.
Said.
I like to imagine that that Palpatine was like super pro Union for like the first bit, and then he dealt with the Union for a while, and he was like, "Wow, okay, actually having dealt with the Union, this sucks. You're all slaves now."
Yeah,
it's actually because when he destroyed the Senate in Episode 4, all the unions lost their power at that point.
Yes.
Oh, reasonable, yeah.
Scenes that were cut. Qui-Gon did record lines to it, where Yoda was supposed to talk to him when Yoda's meditating in his council room by himself. We don't know where that was placed. Also, when Obi-Wan fell in the water, he was supposed to fight a Nos monster, which is the cool-sounding monster.
Sounds cool. Should not have been kept. That's a good decision not to.
One more scene. Where was it? Aayla Secura, Bly, Plo Koon, and Jag, which those are the Jedi and their commanders, were all supposed to have multiple scenes that were scripted, talking to each other, but none of them were recorded. So they were cut early in production, as far as we know.
Probably not necessary, but would have been nice.
A director's cut of this thing would have all these scenes probably, and it'd probably like Kingdom of Heaven's director's cut, which sucks compared to the original, but would still be fun.
Yep.
All right, and with that, chat, thank you for joining us today. You will have an excellent... Shut up now, Alfarius.
Naboo is a very good map. Pulos Massa, not a great map, but I'd probably say the Tantive 4, probably a worse map just because there's only 4 command posts. It really sucks for that reason. I hate that there's only 4 command posts.
Yep. Anyway, see you guys.
Chat, thank you for joining us.
I'm not saying my favorite map.